No siema, witam. Siemaneczko! Kto tam pierwszy dzisiaj? Ośmiokrotnie Aela, witam serdecznie! Pierwsza na czacie, kurczę, tu z Gerionem razem znów, kurczę, czy to coś oznacza? Czy to jakiś connection się robi tutaj? Witam serdecznie, Gerion, jako druga osoba. Na razie jednokrotnie, patrz. Myszkary, witam trzecią osobę na czacie. Już czterokrotnie. Kurcze pieczone, brawo, kurczę, tu widzę Gerion smoli cholewki ostro. Nie dość tam, Ela, trzymaj się. To wiesz. Wiesz, jak coś to I have a boyfriend, nie? Wiesz, żartuję sobie. Siemaneczko, siemaneczko. Indaril, siema, cześć, witam. Siemaneczko, hello. Mord, witam. Clean, siema. Ksyszylis, witam. Siema, 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 siema. Shikabany, witam również. Kicior. Mikton, siema. Bez inwektyw mi tam, kurde. Ksyszylis, a już było, dobra. Spamik musi być, Surbi. Obowiązkowo. Kurde, nie po to robiłem, ustawiałem multistreama, żeby teraz nie dawać linków, nie pingować, no. Muszą być. 4 multistream, znaczy 4 streamy lecą, więc 4 są powiadomienia, tak? No. Cóż za nietakt. No, widzę, że sobie przypomniałeś o komendzie ulubionej. O kurde, Windows siema. Ładnie, ładnie, fajnie. Fajnie, że się podzieliłeś o tym. No lepiej chyba zrzucić z siebie balast zbędny, nie? Ja tak myślę, no. Siema Krzyk, witam. Civic, dobry, dobry. A co za 4? Surbi. Przecież u was jest 2 i 8. No ale w sumie 8 podzielić na 2 to 4, więc... Kurde, to Surbi, to się wszystko łączy. Ja nie... Te liczby, one cały czas się powtarzają, Surbi. Dziwne to. Dobra, fajnowo. U Ohiry jest 4. A... Gdzie? Co to? Kto to? Bo o co chodzi? Nie wiem. To tylko iluzja, mówisz? No nie wiem, nie wiem. Oglądałem ostatnio taki film. Nie pamiętam znowu tytułu, ale był z tym. Z Jim Carrey, tak? Jimem Carreyem, tak to się odmienia. No wyjątkowo nie komedia. Aczkolwiek no były takie elementy czasem trochę zabawne, ale taki thriller bardziej psychologiczny. Właśnie wszystko krążyło wokół jakichś cyfr, liczby właściwie. Jim Carrey widział w nich jakieś, no, tak jakby się wszystko łączyło, nie? Czytał książkę i tam były jakieś liczby, no tam nie powiem wam co się okazało, bo w zasadzie jest trochę zaskakujący ten film. Może nie jest taki zajebisty, ale no, trzyma w napięciu i ostatecznie rzeczywiście puenta jest dosyć zaskakująca, nie? Łeb ogolony? U mnie nie. Ja na razie się nie golę. Właściwie czekam aż się jesień rozkręci, no. Gdzieś przed świętami pewnie dopiero będę się... Ojebię się, że tak powiem, pod kosiarą. Kurwa! Dobra, bo... Ja nie mam nic do was, tylko kuźwa piszecie do siebie. Czemu wy nie używacie funkcji szeptu na Twitchu? Jakiś Nie wiem, właśnie nie umówicie się na rozmowę na Discordzie. Kurka wodna, no. Potem przewijasz ten czat, czytasz jakieś, nie wiem, takie prywatne w sumie można powiedzieć informacje. Jak chcecie się dowiedzieć, czy jesteście tymi osobami, za które się uważacie, to się napiszcie, kuźwa, do siebie na prywatnej wiadomości, co? Kurka wodna. Ja myślałem, że to ty, bo napisałeś to, a to nie ja. Pierdolenie takie, no. I zaraz z tego wyjdzie jakaś drama, bo znowu widać, że chodzi o coś, co komuś się nie podoba, co ktoś pisze. Ja tylko ostrzegam, że mi takie rzeczy przeszkadzają, ja po prostu będę to usuwał. Będę timeoutował, bo ja nie chcę czegoś takiego na czacie, no i tyle. Więc alarm możecie sobie tak, dokładnie, alarm, kurwa. No ja tam czasem na ten czat patrzę, nie? Nie, że to coś mam do was, tylko po prostu, no nie chce mi się przewijać czatu, kurwa, żeby dojść do jakichś normalnych wiadomości. Po świętach, tak. Cosplay Mikołaja? Kiedyś był już.
Bogowie!
Takiego full Mikołaja. Ksyszylis, to ja mam pomysł, sam se to zrób. Pomaluj na pomarańcz.
Jedna bestia mniej.
Dzień dobry, Andy, witam serdecznie. Nie znasz się na szybcie na Twitchu. To najwyższy czas zrobić parę kliknięć i sprawdzić, czy umiesz. Ej, mnie takie szczegóły nie interesują. Windows, kurwa, no. I tylko o to chodzi. Nie interesują mnie wasze szczegóły. Na zasadzie, co ktoś do kogoś ma i czy umiesz, czy nie umiesz. Trudno. Nauczysz się. Życie. Parę kliknięć i będziesz wiedział. Opindolka. Nie wiem, co się wylewa, ale coś zdecydowanie zaczyna bić do góry.
Alarm! Alarm! Straż! Straż! Skasuje gnojka. Alarm!
Nie widziałeś? Ja coś widziałem. Zaczęło się wcześniej niż Windows napisał o sraniu. No. Co dzisiaj grane? No wiadomo, ESO, nie? Ale przed graniem chciałbym tam coś jeszcze obejrzeć. Chociaż w sumie mogę jednocześnie, bo jak dailiki będę robił. Siema Webson, witam. Właśnie nie trzeba wyjść ze ESO, trzeba gonić, bo... Czekaj, teraz będziesz widział. Trzeba gonić, bo nas dzieli raptem 5%. To jest jeszcze nie taki duży dystans. Więc trzeba siadać do ESO i robić dailiki, no. Do The Writhing Wall. Kurwa, ale ten Xbox europejski jest naprawdę bardzo mocno w przodzie. 69%. Może coś się czeka, może coś się zaktualizuje jeszcze i będzie 70. Ta, zepsułem. Kurde, no. 70 nabili już. Coraz bardziej zwiększają dystans. Ja nie wiem, jak oni, czy oni tam 24 na dobę, kurde, siedzą i czy jakieś, nie wiem, może boty poustawiali, kuźwa, ale na konsolach, żeby im tam te dailiki robiły. Nie mam pojęcia, ale strasznie szybko idzie. Xbox Europe. PlayStation też jest dosyć mocno, nie? Fajnie, że Europa, tylko kurwa szkoda, że konsole, a nie PC-towcy. North Murika, no właśnie, 6% z nami, to nie jest dobry dystans, to powinno być tak z 60%. Przecież to jest nierealne, ale no nie wiem, z 10% powinni być za nami. Xbox, North Murika, O, no tu jest ładny dystans, to jest 12%, nie? No i tego oczekujemy na PC-tach, kurde. PlayStation Europe, PlayStation, kurde, jak się tutaj w sumie gonią też. No właśnie o to chodzi. Mi się, bo wiesz co, Shikabane to jest tak, że te, jakby to powiedzieć, to się jakoś skaluje z ilością graczy ogólną, nie? Czyli im mniej ogólnych graczy, a większy procent grających tych graczy, to niektórzy po prostu mają konta i tyle, nie? I się logują raz na x miesięcy. No i tak na PC chyba jest. Na konsolach widocznie jest trochę większy udział grających wobec ogólnej ilości kont, no i to się jakoś tak skaluje, że to szybciej idzie. No właśnie nie wiem, czy na 20. Trzeba by się zapytać kogoś z Xboxa, jak oni to robią. Co dzisiaj jest? Środa? No to jak jutro czwartek, to tak. To jutro Halloween event powinien być. 22, 20, chyba 23. Zresztą zaraz zobaczymy, bo mam otwarto. Tak, 23, no, czyli od 16. Także więcej dailików jeszcze będzie. Nie dość, że tu jest masa kurczę zadań do robienia, to jeszcze dowalają kolejnym eventem, nie? Gra usługa, dosłownie, w 100%. Siema, Debesia, witam. Nie no, podobno to się jakoś skaluje. Mówię, im mniej graczy jest na serwie, tym jakby szybciej się nabija ten licznik. Tak chyba to mniej więcej wygląda. No ale nic, no jest dobrze, no jesteśmy przed przynajmniej PC-tową Ameryką, nie? I właśnie, Witches Festival się będzie zaczynał jutro do 5. Do 5 listopada. Dobry moment na levelowanie, bo będzie boost do expa, nie? Pasywny, czyli nie trzeba nic odpalać. Już od jakiegoś czasu w eventach TESO są pasywne te boosty. 100% chyba do bazowego. Ja. Event tikety, 2 dziennie. No i plunder skulsy, nie? Czyli skrzyneczki eventowe będą. Chyba ciekawe, czy 1 złota dziennie? To jest chyba zwykłej napisane. A tu... Ta... Dremora plunder skull. Special. Unique boss type for the... Czyli 1 dziennie. Złota. Lepsza. Outfit, jakiś body marking i face marking. Jakiś runebox, czyli co? Kamienie takie, co można to zamienić na to chyba, nie? Na te kosmetyki. I te plunder skullsy dropią z arena bossów. Inclusion bosses, czyli delwy. Nie delwy, tylko dolmeny. Delve bossy, final bossy na dungeonach, trialowe bossy, public dungeon bossy, world bossy, no i ten Infinite Archive. Znowu jakieś kosmetyki do dropienia. Mosbergos, witam serdecznie. Znowu te same? No, wiesz, na te takie cykliczne eventy, no to wiadomo, że dropią te same, ale oprócz tego czasem też wprowadzają z tych złotych czasem coś trochę, znaczy nowego, no nowe na tyle, że po prostu jest to coś, co jeszcze nie dropiło, tak? A jak one będą wyglądać? Może to będzie jakiś reskin tylko? Może być, ale wiadomo, no, z tych fioletowych będą lecieć te co zawsze, nie? A ze złotej będzie szansa na coś nowszego. Ale ja nie wiem, ja to tak w miarę lubię ten event. No jest nawet taki w miarę ciekawy, ta walka z tym Hollow Jackiem, z Crowem. Jest okej. Mm. No i tikety, 2 tikety dziennie, 28 tiketów w ciągu tego eventu. Pamiętajcie, że 12 można mieć, resztę jak zbierzecie to wam, że tak powiem, przepadną, więc trzeba wydawać. Truth and Low Pet Fragment u Impresario. Pierwsze 2 fragmenty do domu. Wild Grown Chapel of Julianos. Czyli będzie chata do odebrania za event tikety, tylko na razie będą 2 fragmenty pierwsze, no i później pewnie znowu z 2 przynajmniej przy kolejnym evencie. Tak będzie wyglądać ta chata. Taka kurde naturalistyczna mocno. Jakby ktoś właśnie zostawił jakąś drewnianą chatę na zbyt długi czas i las wokół wyrósł, nie? Może być. No. Jak ktoś kolekcjonuje, no to jest jakaś opcja, nie? Czy naprawią te trofea, bo dalej jednego nie dropłeś? Bo było coś zbugowane z tego kruka? A co tam dropiło z tego kruka? Już nie byłaś do Besia? O matko. A gdzie, czy jak, co? Na PTS-ie? Czy co, o co chodzi? Czy on ogólnie gdzieś jest już dostępny? A nie, czekaj, bo pewnie można go zwiedzić, a on już jest pewnie dodany do gry, nie? Okej. Kolejny magazyn. No. Tylko trzeba przypilnować, żeby te fragmenty kupić, nie? Indryki oczywiście będą do kupienia. A u asystenta Stable Mormolit, Dragonic Quasigraph, Soulfire, Dragon Illusion Pet, jakiś outfit, Passion Dancer Garment, Costume. O, domek, nie? W zasadzie to domek. Można tak w skrócie powiedzieć, że po to będziemy ten event robić, żeby kupić fragmenty do domu. Co czytam? No, evencie. Co się jutro rozpoczyna tym Witches Festival. Dobra, mieli Państwo. Puszczę se to w tle. Będziemy coś słuchać od Lazy Peona. New World 2025. Czy jest w końcu dobry? Zaraz się przekonamy, nie?
New World over the past few months has seen a bit of a resurgence in popularity, with the game putting out solid updates over the course of 2025, gaining a cross-platform console player base, and most recently the release of a major free expansion called Nighthaven, which has caused many people to either return or check out the game for the first time.
Yep.
Nighthaven increases the level cap to 70, introduces a massive new zone to the game, the previous paid DLC, Rise of the Angry Earth, was made free for everyone, and the game introduced a gear and progression rework, new PvE content in the form of catacombs, new raids, new outpost rush map, gear score cap increase, and much more. If you want a more comprehensive overview of all the things added to New World in the past year, then check out my previous vid from a few weeks back. In this video, I'll be giving you my first impressions of Nighthaven, checking out the new content, and giving an updated New World pros and cons list at the end. But first, support the content by listening to today's sponsor, ExitLag. ExitLag is a connection optimizer for online games. Turn it on, pick your game, and it works in the background to reduce ping, smooth out spikes, and help prevent random disconnects. You can leave it on automatic mode or fine-tune routes per game. Behind the scenes, ExitLag uses AI route optimization and a patented multi-path system to send your traffic through the best available paths at the same time. If something on the internet hiccups, your game data keeps flowing on healthier routes. The Diagnostics Center helps you spot issues between you and the game servers, so you know whether the problem is local with your ISP or somewhere along the way. ExitLag supports 2,000 plus games and runs on a global network across 5 continents, reaching players in 190 countries with over 1,200 servers. It also includes tools aimed at improving in-game FPS on supported titles, plus professional support if you want advanced settings. Here I am in WoW with ExitLag turned off. I get between 180 to 200 ms ping connecting to Europe from Thailand. I enable ExitLag, and as you can see, it goes down to 163 ms. Ready to try ExitLag? Well, there's a 3-day free trial with no credit card required to test it out, and new users can get an annual plan for 50% off, valid on solo, duo, and squad annual subscriptions. That means you can pay 6 months and get 12. New World in 2025, the brand new Nighthaven expansion's just launched, and also, if you haven't bought the previous expansion, Rise of the Angry Earth, that's now available to everyone for free.
Później wydali jakiś tam dodatek, co na mountach można było jeździć, nie? No to teraz on wszedł do darmówki, ale tylko dla tych, co wcześniej kupili New Worlda, nie?
So where's this new zone? Oh, it's over here near the Brimstone Sands. I actually wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be like over here for whatever reason. Catacombs, minimum players 1. Nice. I'm looking forward to jumping into that. We've got a raid here, 20 players recommended.
Grywasz teraz, jak tam wrażenia?
Here, Isle of Night, 6 players. Oh, that's another raid, okay.
Że jest
to start
poprawny.
the MSQ for the new zone, it's down here in the Cutlass Keys, into the sunset. Definitely been a while since I've played New World's Endgame.
Ja tam nawet nie przyszedłem wątku żadnego popularnego. Pograłem sobie, poeksplorowałem, trochę questów porobiłem i tyle. Moje granie w New Worlda.
Oh, okay, so you just talk to her, interact with the boat, travel to Nighthaven, and that's it. So we're here to recover something called the Tear of Gaia.
Tylko trochę tam...
This is Nighthaven. Look at that. I love
Nie wiem
the
jak jest
fog.
teraz, ale było tak, że jak
completely different to
robiłeś animację jakiegoś skilla, to nie za bardzo... Nie za bardzo się, nie w każdym momencie się dało skancelować, nie? Czasem było tak, że jak walczyłem z jakimś tam bossikiem, to chciałem uniknąć ataku, ale no, niestety unik nie wchodzi, bo musi się zakończyć jakieś tam
New World's one of those MMOs where I have the toggle UI bound to my mouse because I'm just constantly running around with the UI off. It's such a beautiful game. Down into these catacombs. What's this? Well, this is a vibe, isn't it? Oh, wow. Bloody giant axe thing just fell from the ceiling. Stacked deck. Wait, isn't that super rare? So many players are just kind of killing everything. It's pretty fun. Making use of these swimming mechanics, are we? We dive underwater? Bro, since when can we dive underwater? Is this new? New World's finally adding the basic MMO mechanics that you would expect. Oh, I actually had no control over the depth that I was swimming. It just kind of automatically makes you go underwater. What's this? Trampoline? Parkour. Oh, that's cool. New World devs have cooked with this environment.
Chyba na instancji po prostu takie rzeczy. Nie, że ogólnie w gierce, nie?
Big damage.
Typu takie skakanie.
I like this room. It's just full of treasures and coins and stuff. Straight away, pretty good early impressions. I'm especially liking exploring these environments and traversing these catacombs. Jump in the water, big splash. Exactly. Can I res this person? Can I be a bro?
Z nią nie gra? Nikt, kogo może ty
No,
znasz.
he's dead.
Chociaż
Sorry,
jak,
brother. Looks quite good as the sun's setting.
ale
Well,
może
this
ktoś
looks
kto
rather
z tobą
grand,
by
doesn't it?
grał.
Can I get
Albo
electrocuted if I
chciałbyś,
stand on
żeby grał,
this?
to może nie gra.
No.
No ludzie grają w
My
to, no, gdyby nie grali, to by nie
Imprint
było
your
ich
soul. You
widać
can
podczas
respawn
eventu.
here throughout Nighthaven. Okay. So in Nighthaven you've got additional respawn points that aren't just bonfires. You use
Dla
these
mnie,
clocks.
jak mówisz
You know,
nikt,
usually
to
I don't
znaczy
really like
naprawdę
the
nikt,
whole
nie?
ultra linear MSQ approach.
Nikt na zasadzie naprawdę, że
It certainly
nie
feels a
widzisz
lot more
graczy
fun when you're
kompletnie.
traversing
A Weso widzisz.
very interesting environments. You're exploring interesting places,
Czasem
you're
więcej,
doing
czasem
jumping
mniej.
puzzles, there's a lot of visual diversity. Enter the room and defeat Asina, our first solo boss fight.
Oh.
Okay.
Snajper.
Oh. Werewolf boss. Oh, it looks like I need to defend this. What is going on? There's a hammer here. Do I need to do something with it? Not sure. Repair the device. Okay. The game's told me to use these power-ups. I've never even knew that was a thing in New World, so maybe the power-ups thing is a new feature. Did we do it? We did it. Oh, wow. Looks like Big Ben. So there's a thing here, spyglass. What do you get for looking through this? Ah, a little cutscene. And you get reputation for finding these. Big, long, spooky bridge. Moonlight shining through. Why is this guy's ass glowing blue? Some people have some crazy fashion game going on. They've added a lot of
Casuale
cosmetics
w każdej
over the past few years.
znajdą
I
coś
remember
dla
when they
siebie. No
first
to
added
prawda, też mi
transmog
tak
to New
wydaje.
Worlds, it was very difficult to make a character
Bardziej,
that
że
looked cool.
tak jak mówię, no
But now they've just added so many
to
new
jak to
outfits,
gra, to jest
dyes,
bardzo subiektywna rzecz,
customizations
nie?
that
Niektórzy grają,
there's actually a lot of
żeby
possibility with this
maksować
game's transmog system
level,
now.
tak? Tak jak mówisz,
For
kurwa,
me, I like to
levelują
go with
wszystko
fairly
wszędzie jak
standard
tylko
looking
można.
warrior, like nothing too immersion
To jest
breaking.
dla nich
I also like
jakikolwiek
the
gameplay.
mount animations in this
Niektórzy
game.
grają grupowe
Feels
aktywności,
good.
niektórzy PvP.
Reveal jump pad.
Hej,
Oh,
siema.
jump. There it is.
Niektórzy
we're doing the jump pads
housing,
together.
fashion, inne pierdoły, nie?
I like these jump pads. Jump.
I ja rozumiem, jak ktoś gra tylko PvP, uważa, że nie ma z kim grać.
Where's the next one up here?
No widocznie może w tym
these
trybie
new map
konkretnym, w który on
traversal
tylko
mechanics.
gra, nie ma z kim grać.
Very fun. Reveal Arcana card. The Fool.
By nie było graczy w ESO, to by na gildiach nie stawiali
Tales of
triali,
Nighthaven.
żeby ludzie nie grali, tak? Tak jak ja na przykład się w trialach bardziej
launching
bryluję.
ourselves
Ale
off
jednak
of
stawiają, grają.
buildings. Collect memory fragment.
Nawet w naszym mniejszym polskim
I don't like the
community,
word
więc
memory
myślę, że
fragment.
raczej gdzieś
Brings back a little bit of
anglojęzycznym jest
PTSD
więcej, nie?
from the BDO days. New World Art Team asks, how
Ludzie
thick do you
przychodzą
want
i
the
odchodzą,
mist?
to jest normalne.
Game designer
Jeżeli
just
mówimy o
says
gierce, która jest gdzieś
yes.
na kilka
Lots
lat
of interesting
robione,
towers to
nie?
explore. Big
Kilkanaście.
giant doors. Can we go
Czasem
inside?
kilkadziesiąt.
Oh. Invoke
Jakiegoś
Arcana
questa
card.
wywalić.
That unlocks the doors. Climb
O.
to the top of the tower. So as
A
we're
bambo.
ascending to the top of this tower, there's like more magic eroding the environment. What is going on here? What are all these people doing here? There he is. Big damage. GG. Was that for the quest? No, that was for something else. We're just gonna jump off here. Just send it. Oh, New World doesn't have full damage, right?
Ileż można grać TESO? A ileż razy można iść na to samo Imperial City?
It has full damage, but it's negligible. That's so weird that you can do that. Just launch yourself off buildings. In any other MMO, jumping from the top of that would kill you. It'd kill you 10 times over. On Eternum, things
Z drugiej
work
strony,
differently.
kurwa, ty Jest sam
The
gatunek
gravity is not
gier
the
nawet
same. I don't
robi.
know if that's true, but I'm
Właściwie
trying to make
roguelike'ów,
it
nie?
make sense. We're getting
Przecież
closer
wiele
to what appears
z
to be
tych
the
gier
main
polega na
city
robieniu
area.
praktycznie tego
Yo,
samego
bro's
cały
got a
czas,
panda
tylko na przykład
bear. I need to get
podmianie
myself a
później
bear
jakichś tam
mount. So far my
buffów czy
impressions
innych
of
rzeczy,
Nighhaven,
efektów,
very positive.
skilli,
Super
efektów
cool
broni,
zone
broniek,
aesthetically,
różnych
very
takich rzeczy,
different from
ekwipunku.
anything else in the game.
Ale de facto latasz,
Level
wiesz,
67,
prawie cały
little
czas to samo.
cutscene. Giant
Wiesz,
castle
tu nie chodzi o to,
this
czy
is.
ileś
Yeah,
razy
you're
można
straight
to
out of
samo.
V-Rising, aren't you, brother?
Raz
Maybe I should
chodzisz z
stop
taką grupą, raz z
comparing
inną.
this to V-Rising.
Wiesz,
Just
ludzie
because
się
it's
zmieniają
gothic
podczas
doesn't mean
grania.
it's the same as
Jeżeli mówimy o
V-Rising.
jakimś grupowym
V-Rising
kontencie.
didn't invent Gothic, Craig. Castle Dracula, interesting. And man, look at that
Zmienia
smoke,
też gameplay.
so intense. Oh, 7:30. Seems like we've got a bit of a dinner party to attend. The women here are
Stanie się
awfully
nic nowego,
tall.
okej.
So, do you like tea?
No to powiem ci, chyba
during
trochę
the
mało
day.
grasz tych triali.
A little bit more vibrant. Heading over to an
Nigdy nie
actual
wiesz, co ludzie
settlement
odwalą
now.
na trialu.
Factions can fight to control
Zakładasz,
this
że
one, I think.
latasz
So it's just
200
one
triali
giant
z tym
castle.
samym składem, zawsze się
Very
robi to
different to
samo,
the other
ty robisz to
settlements,
samo,
if
inni
so.
też robią to
Bloody
samo,
hell,
zawsze
it is
jest to
actually
samo.
just so gorgeous.
A to nie na tym polega, no
Giant lakes
wiadomo, że
surrounded by
mechaniki na
huge
trialu raczej się nie
castle.
zmieniają.
Oh yeah, everything's just
Ale gracze
inside
się
this
zmieniają,
castle
nie?
by the looks of it. Lots of players are hanging out around here.
There's really no such thing
Beautiful.
as junk.
Yeah, this place is rammed. Bro's got a bloody bunny mask on. Most settlements offer some kind of housing. Let's see if there's any housing here. If it does offer housing, I would imagine that it's like a room within the castle. Ah, yes it is indeed.
Losowe
Oh, but
drużyny?
you need a standing
No, to
level
tu
of
masz
30 to
Findera,
even
nie?
purchase it.
Trial Findera i tam też masz losowe
It's a bit small,
drużyny.
isn't it? Weird mushroom tree area here. Absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? Light coming through the trees.
W zasadzie
Little
na
stream
gildiach
of
jak są
water.
jakieś takie
Also, a
wolne
lot of
zapisy, to
jumping
podobnie
puzzle up
wygląda,
ahead.
nie?
We fucked that up straight away. Where? Here? Oh my god, fuck off.
Trochę lepiej, bo tam się też
So
zapisują osoby,
stupid.
które już
And the little
Od dawna
markers just
grają, ale
telling you to go to this area
summa summarum
first.
nie jest
Tell
zawsze
me
tak,
the
że
final
zawsze jest ten
destination,
sam
I'll
skład.
figure it out myself. You don't need to do breadcrumbs. That's something I don't like about the questing in this game. Like, it's giving you, like, constant breadcrumbs as to where to go. Brother, just let me explore and figure out how to get from A to B myself. Like, you've got this whole, like, jumping puzzle aspect, but it's literally telling you where to go every 50 meters, and there's absolutely no need for it. It completely ruins your sense of exploration, and it feels like the game's holding your hand as if you're a toddler, taking you from A to B. It's already a hyperlinear questing experience, but don't treat me like
Kurwa,
I'm
no powiem
fucking
wam szczerze,
5
jak
years
robiłem
old,
wątek główny
please.
trochę w tym New Worldzie.
Oh my god,
Jezu,
the
mnie tak,
desync.
w sumie
is this the
nie
thing
chodzi
that
mi
I
o to, że mnie
started
irytuje to
fighting
samo co
initially,
tutaj
but
Lazy
then
Peona, że jest za rączkę
finish it off?
prowadzony, ale irytowało mnie kurwa jak te
I feel like there's a mechanic
niektóre
that
te
I'm
postaci w
missing,
NPC
and I don't know what
mówią.
I'm missing.
Cały czas jest taka jakby aranżacja, że
Oh wait,
tylko
what?
ty potrafisz zrobić coś w ogóle podczas tej fabuły, nie?
That is some dog
Cały
tier
czas
voice
ci NPC
acting.
podrzucają
Holy
robotę do roboty i to na
next
zasadzie
phase.
to nie jest ciekawe i
there
miłe,
is.
to jest po prostu
Ui,
takie
almost dead. Don't you fucking
no
dare
ale
die
nasz
now.
bohater to zrobi, nie?
Spin.
W zasadzie
There it
kurwa,
is.
dlaczego ja?
Quite a challenging
Sama se kurwa
soul
i ci
trial.
zrób, nie?
Yeah, that doesn't look too
Nie,
good,
nie jest
does
to
it?
budowanie
What
jakiegoś
is
takiego
going on
patosu,
there?
tylko takie
Oh my
bardziej,
God, I'm
że
gonna have to
jesteśmy
relog.
chłopcem
That
na
is
posyłki
getting
i od roboty, nie?
worse. Has that
Takie
fixed
miałem,
it? It
mam
has
uczucie w New
actually.
Worldzie, jak
Wow.
robi się wątek główny, no.
That looks cool, doesn't it? Creepy gargoyle things. Very nice room. New
Nie
World's
wiem, czy
art
też tak
team.
mieliście.
They've been cooking for years. But I have to say, I think this is some of their best work. Seeing some of these environments that they've created with New World has me really excited to see what AGS can do with the upcoming Lord of the Rings MMO. I really hope that the world has the same sense of scale. Don't mind me just driving my mount through this mansion. Oh wow, 3 oranges. I'm too fucking stupid to get from A to B without the game giving me a marker every 20 meters. Come on, game. Next marker, come on. Holy lighting. Level 68. It feels like
Kurwa, no
every
to tak,
chest
no
is
to
giving me an
tak jak ci mówię,
orange at the moment.
ty grasz
Sneak
sobie
into the House
PvP,
of Camilla
to cię
Dungeons
ciekawiło, to
says.
ci dawało więcej przyjemności czy
Oh, is it
czegoś,
through here?
dopaminy.
Wait, maybe it's not.
Ale
This doesn't look
niektórzy,
like
a
an
nawet
area that
jest
you're
ich
supposed
sporo,
to
grają
be.
po prostu triale, no. Inni jeszcze się zajmują domkowaniem. Generalnie ludzie grają, nie?
Some like under the
Tylko
map
w różnych
area.
segmentach
Oh god,
gry.
invisible
Ja
barrier.
pierdzielę.
Don't mind me, friends. I'm just laying the foundations. I'm gonna have to
Chcesz
hit the
grać
stuck
to, co
button,
chcesz?
unfortunately.
Loguj graj, no nie, to nie, no.
Ruins area, okay.
Może są gry, które
Struck by a bloody
więcej
meteor.
ci
Teleport.
zapewnią, wiesz, no,
Okay.
jakiejś
Where
satysfakcji
the hell are we?
z jakichś rozgrywek player versus player.
Okay, this is cool. I think this is part of
No ale
the
myślę,
quest.
że jeżeli najebałeś 30 000
no.
albo i więcej godzin,
In the bin,
w ESO,
they've
to
really
głównie
added a
w
lot more
segmencie
jumping
PvP,
puzzles than there used to
no
be.
to jednak o
Can be a
czymś
bit
świadczy,
finicky
no.
at times,
Chyba, że nie wiem,
though.
no
We
to
have
jakiś
made
syndrom
it,
właśnie
and this
sztokholmski
looks like the
nastąpił.
entrance to the
Siedziałeś,
next
bo uważałeś,
soul
że musiałeś.
trial.
No
Big
nie wiem, nie
What's
wiem.
this? Get out of that probably.
Ja tylko widzę liczbę,
Holy
wiem, że
Big D.
za zajoba masz na punkcie PvP,
Oh no!
więc chyba coś w tym jest, nie? Że
Damage.
ten segment, przynajmniej wtedy, kiedy grałeś, no to działał dobrze, nie?
We're
No i
basically
tyle.
just staring at this clock from different angles, aren't we? Art team wanting their environmental design appreciated. Season stamps. I've never really interacted with New World's season pass thing. It's got like this activity card, and I don't really understand. I've never understood it. Every time I've played the game, it's like you need to make a row, like, and then you finish the card. Or can I finish it now? I hate confusing ass battle passes like this. I just want to play the game, earn XP from doing absolutely everything, and just progress through it. I don't want to look at a card that tells me what to do. These are like the worst types of battle passes. Absolute cancer, unfun, dog shit. By paying for New World's premium season pass, I would be making the game less fun for myself because I would feel the need to do things that I don't want to do. To collect a stamp to earn a fucking cosmetic or something. It's just stupid. Oh god. This is creepy.
Antyseason
You're gonna
pasowy.
make me crawl through it.
Koleś.
There's so many players. What is going on here? Is this a grinding spot or something?
Pewnie coś leci z tego.
What?
Z tych mobów.
There must be a special boss or something spawning here. Oh, it's a boss. Spider boss. Big damage. Zerg it down, boys. Anything good? Maybe. Oh, this could be a good area for a screenshot. Stomp. Okay, so I'll stomp on that, and I've got like a little bit of time to get across, I guess. So many jumping puzzles in this expansion. I really don't like this style of questing. Turn your brain off and follow the big orange marker.
No,
when I play
rozumiem.
games, I like
To nie
to
znaczy, że nikt w to nie
think
gra,
for
nie?
myself. I like to have to make
O tym
choices, figure things out, but there's nothing to
Rozumiem,
figure
że
out
to jakaś
with linear
może komentarz
MSQ.
bardziej
Follow the
podyktowany
story. It's just
twoim doświadczeniem, nie? Albo
maybe I
reakcją na
can
to
make
właśnie,
that
że
jump.
czujesz nudę,
Okay,
nie?
let's go for it. Jump. There's no way. Oh my god, we made it. This Nighthaven zone actually has quite a lot of visual diversity within the biome. Now we're entering like a snowy area, snowy castle. Dodge through that. Let's get... Oi! That almost fucked me up. Ooh. Nice desync, holy! Okay, maybe the game just doesn't want me to go in this room.
Oh.
Hello? Level 70, there it is. Got it from interacting with a bit of paper. Oh my god, I can't go in any of these
Generalnie
rooms. This whole area is
może i
like
fajnie,
bugged. So I
że
guess
w
this
tym
is
New
the
Worldzie
final soul trial. I guess this is
duży
the
update
climax of the MSQ.
dla
Get
posiadaczy
some
już New
screenshots
Worlda
whilst I'm here.
blokowali
Look at
mounty
that
i w
little
ogóle, ale
cutscene.
widzę, że pewne problemy gierka nadal przychodzi, nie?
These cutscenes are a little bit scuffed, to be honest. You'd think there'd be a bit more emotion in his face. But there's just nothing there. Oh my god, when it shoots you through a bloody wall, man. The combat is so scuffed in this game at times. It's so inconsistent. And getting CC'd, man.
Ja, ten komand właśnie, no. To właśnie jest kurwa z jakimś bosikiem.
Changed my build up a little bit. I've equipped some magic weapons. Let's see if it goes a bit better.
Irytowało to właśnie.
His swipe covers so much distance, and just getting hit once just staggers you.
Może
It feels
kwestia
like
jest
absolute
nabycia
arse.
doświadczenia bardziej w tym kombacie, nie?
Okay, I was line of sight, but okay. I actually dodged that, and despite being dodged, clearly I just desynced back into his attack. I was completely missing the mechanic last time. You need to lure him in here, and then he gets grasped, and you can do big damage. So that's the mechanic. I'm not trying to lure him. Get over here. Nice. It's grasped, big damage. No way, he's hitting me there. Okay. Through the wall.
To słyszałem, tak, no. W ogóle już jakiś czas temu mówiłem, że o tym domkowaniu, że nagle się, wiesz, inne MMOsy zobaczyły, że coś w tym jest, że ludzie w tym siedzą. I pierwsze newsa to widziałem chyba o Crown Liberty. Też ostatnio duży update był. Dodali domkowanie. O WoWie właśnie też słyszałem, też dodają domkowanie. Mówię, kurde. Wiesz, nagle zaczyna się robić fashion, domkin i te inne, nie? Elementy do rozbudowy będą sprzedawane. No, jakoś trzeba spieniężać. Widocznie się skończyło z subskrypcji albo tam z czegoś innego pieniążki. Chociaż w WoWie też słyszałem, że tam system monetyzacji tych różnych tam, wydawanie tych skinów nieadekwatne w ogóle cena do jakości. Tam się chyba, kurde, ten taki pomarańczowy w okularach Nexo, streamer, u nas ten, on czasem z Piszakiem głównie też robią tam czasem jakiegoś streamka, się znają chyba. Nexo, nie pamiętam dokładnie. On się o tym wypowiadał, miał jakieś tam skinie, że kompletnie w ogóle dodają coś, co jest reskinem poprzednich jakichś rzeczy, a za jakiś grubszy hajs. Nexus, no jakoś tak. Także tam chyba też można ponarzekać.
These are randomized 3-player dungeons that you can queue for, and you don't need the Holy Trinity, so queues are very fast. Each room has different challenges.
Kurwa, no oczywiście, że w pewnym momencie zawsze jest jakaś nuda. Kurwa. Najgłupszy przykład teraz te dailiki, nie? No robię sobie te dailiki, ale przy okazji sobie posłucham Lazy Peona, nie? Czat poczytam. Ale jak tak się na przykład robię sobie w ogóle na streamie, no to kurwa, oczywiście, że na którejś postaci z kolei już mi się nudzi po prostu. No to normalne. Te same kuściki, wiesz, na kilku postaciach. Ale to ja sobie założyłem to, nie? Jakby ten cel na zasadzie, że na kilku postaciach zrobię. Nie, że ja muszę to zrobić.
As for endgame raiding, that's a bit beyond the scope of this first impressions, so we'll wrap things up here. So after revisiting New World in 2025, my updated pros and cons list is as follows. Things I like: S-tier world scale, beautiful graphics and lighting.
Nie wiem, trochę mi szkoda, jakby miał jakby gierkę pożyczyć tą. Ale to chyba nie jest wynik tego, że... Nie do końca jest wynik tego, że jakby tyle czasu już spędzimy.
The combat can be fun at times. It's generally not
Wydaje mi się, że to bardziej jest też kwestia tego, że ja lubię tutaj takie rzeczy, wiesz, jak jakiś overland, jakieś questy czy coś, ale ja tego nie robię na co dzień, bo to jest kurwa bardzo, dla mnie przynajmniej, jakbym chciał robić tak jak ja chcę, czyli uważać, czytać i słuchać, to jest zbyt długotrwałe, to jest za długo trwa. Nie ma tyle czasu po prostu na to. Ja wolę, wiesz, iść na progasie, zapisać czy coś, albo na jakiegoś dunga, nie dunga, tylko triala i sobie, wiesz, pograć z ludźmi, nawet jak się połajpi, to się połajpi, ale to mnie bardziej ciągnie, nie? Chciałbym sobie też powydropiać jakieś rzeczy, które tam, nie kosmetyki czy inne rzeczy dropią, wiesz, z jakiejś tam aktywności, zaciwków czy coś, ale kurwa, tak już mówię, to jest zbyt czasochłonne. Bardziej mnie ciągnie do grania w grupie.
Way too much bloat in this department. I also feel like there's not enough ability choice or options in the game's talent trees to make some truly interesting builds.
Tym bardziej, że kilka ma różnych segmentów gierka, grasz to, co cię interesuje, a resztę olewasz. Albo przynajmniej traktujesz jako doraźne granie, nie?
Warehouse management is overwhelming. There's so many items in the game now, and the way it's displayed in the warehouse UI is quite messy. I dislike the activity card battle pass system. The UI for it is awful, and it's difficult to quickly see what you need to do. And as much as the combat can be considered a pro, it can also be considered a con because it's incredibly jank at times. The more seriously you take New World and its combat, the less fun you'll have with the game. Overall, I think New World is in a pretty good state in 2025. The game's
Bardziej-
population has
bardziej mnie chyba
stabilized,
trzyma
the
to, że
team's
ta
been
gierka
putting out some
generalnie
good
jest w
updates,
porządku.
and the world still feels
Jak mnie
amazing to be
zaczną
in.
nudzić,
For me, I
może
think
nudzić,
New World is a
wkurwiać
great
triale
MMO
czy
to
coś,
play
to sobie
casually.
odpalam jakieś
Level life
overlandy, nie?
skills, do
Jak
map
mnie
completion, some
overlandy
outpost
męczą,
rush,
to idę na
play it
jakieś
as a
tam
game to
zbieractwo, nie wiem,
relax with.
Skyshardów czy coś.
Unfortunately, with
Jak to mnie już
150
zaczyna
ms
męczyć,
ping,
to idę
there's a
sobie,
lot
nie
of
wiem,
builds
no,
that I straight up cannot
raz
play.
na ruski rok
And
i
the
na
more
bagietę
difficult the
pójdę, nie?
content, the more I'm getting hit
Także
through walls, having my
ja to,
iframe dodge
dla
ignored
mnie
and
to
just
jest
dealing with janky
bardziej
bullshit.
taki
I
rzeczywiście
think some of this is
pozytywny
my
feature,
ping,
że
some
ta
of
gra
this
ma
is
tyle
probably the
segmentów
game,
i jak
but I've just
mnie jedno
noticed,
znuży, to
specifically
wskakuje w
with
drugie.
New Worlds, the more difficult the content, the less fun I have.
Mi
Still,
się wydaje, że
plenty of things
problem
the
się
devs
pojawia
can do
wtedy,
to
kiedy
improve
ktoś
the
jest
game, but I
zafiksowany
think it is
tylko i
heading in
wyłącznie
the
na
right
jednym segmencie.
direction.
Na zasadzie, że to,
Even though I
tylko to i
personally
nic
wish they took a
innego,
more
resztę traktuje
sandboxy
tylko
approach to
jako,
design rather
żeby,
than the
nie wiem, no,
theme park
sety
MMO
wydropić
it's
na przykład
sadly
do,
turned
bo mu
into.
potrzebne do PvP czy
But
coś,
that's
nie?
it for this video. As always, let me know your thoughts on New
Zafiksujesz
World
się
in the
tylko na
comments
jednym,
below. Did you return to the game for
maksujesz,
Nighthaven?
że tak
Are there
powiem,
any pros and cons I missed that
skilla,
you would add to
no
the
i tak jak
list?
Darko, no nie masz
Give
z
us
kim
a
grać,
like to
bo
help me fight
nikt
against
ci
the
prawie nie
automated
dorównuje,
AI
no.
channels in the
Kurwa.
YouTube algorithm. I may not get everything right, but at
A
least
jeżeli
I'm
dorównuje,
human.
to po prostu
Social media on
nie gra
screen.
wtedy,
Thanks
kiedy
for
Darko
watching,
gra, nie? Czy
and I'll
coś,
see you in the
no.
next one.
No dobra, no coś tam posłuchałem o tym New Worldzie. Ale jakichś wielkich chyba tutaj rewolucyjnych zmian nie wprowadzili. Mnie to tylko, mówię, miło zaskoczyło, patrzę, kurde, mówię sobie przy okazji premiery tego nowego update'u, mówię, pewnie dodali jakąś promocję czy coś, nie? Chciałem kupić właśnie ten dodatek z tymi mountami do New Worlda. Ja patrzę, a oni napisali, że to kurwa dodali do, wiesz, osobom, które posiadają New Worlda, po prostu to za darmo dali. Ja mówię, wow, co? Mówię, kurwa, elegancko, wystarczy pobrać to. Wystarczy pobrać aktualizację i masz, nie? To mnie pozytywnie zaskoczyło. Kaczka w buraczkach, witam serdecznie. Grałeś trochę progres. Grałeś. To pamiętam, że sadzonka cię chyba wyciągnęła. Dobrze pamiętam? Czy wciągnęła? Dokładnie. Siemaneczko Derat, witam. Znając życie? Nie. Ja na Darko trafiałem najczęściej dlatego, że po prostu jak gram to streamuję, a jak streamuję to Darko wie, gdzie mnie szukać. Także wiesz, no z tym PvP to tak jest. Zarosłem, no. Dokładnie teraz. Czas mija niestety. Po zaroście widać najlepiej, nie? Niektórzy mówią, że po dzieciach, bo szybko rosną. Znaczy, no widać po prostu, że czas upływa, nie? Bo rosną. A ja stwierdzam, że jednak po zaroście. Jak kobiety może tego nie doświadczą, nie? Bo nie mają naturalnie zarostu. Ale mają na przykład tak włosy pod pachami. Spróbują się nie golić, to też będą widzieć upływ czasu. No, ale ja mogę, kurwa, potem, po zaroście na twarzy. Nie? Niefortunny zbieg okoliczności? Zbieg wydarzeń? Jak nie, właśnie fortunny, jak zacząłeś triale grać. Nie no, o tym mówię, że wiesz. Jak już za dużo na przykład czujesz, że cię nudzi, kurde, wiesz, Imperial City, jakieś tam, nie wiem, bagiety czy coś. Właśnie pójść, do jakiejś grupki dołączyć na triale. I znowu parę tygodni, coś tam. Później jak cię to znudzi, może ci się odwiedzi, może znowu na to PvP wskoczysz. Nie, no to spróbuj, może, nie wiem, no. Tales of Tribute może cię wciągnie. Niektórych wciąga, nie? A jak nie, no to rzeczywiście po prostu skipnij gierkę na jakiś czas. Znaczy, wiesz, no, włącz sobie jakąś inną, może jakąś właśnie bardziej nastawioną na takie kompetytywne granie. Nie ma co się, wiesz, zajebać w jednym tym, nie? W jednej gierce, no. Włączymy sobie kolejny materiał. Ten materiał już w sumie oglądałem, ale mogę go jeszcze raz obejrzeć. Nie przeszkodzi mi to jakoś bardzo. Kurde, twórcy Black Desert Online. Czy studio, które tworzyło tą grę? Znaczy chyba tak. Mieli stworzyć właśnie jakiegoś takiego spadkobiercę MMO. RPG z właśnie Black Deserta, ale de facto w czasie produkcji stwierdzili, że będzie to gra singlowa. I powiem wam, że fajnie wygląda. Typo też tam będzie trochę mówił, że fajnie wygląda, ale to nie bardzo chodzi o to, że ja się kieruję nim, ale naprawdę na tych gameplayach, które są tam udostępnione, to dosyć ciekawie wygląda. Więc
Alrighty, Crimson
obejrzmy sobie.
Desert. This is actually one of the games that I'm most anticipating next year. As mentioned in my latest upload, I made a list of the 2026 releases I'm most looking forward to, and this is really up there. It's the next major title from Pearl Abyss. This is the development studio behind the popular yet divisive MMORPG Black Desert Online, which I would consider like a genuinely good MMO in a lot of ways. It's got really satisfying combat, a pretty unique world, and tons of interesting features, systems, and mechanics. Honestly, its only real big downside for me is the gearing system, character power progression, and how a lot of that ties directly into monetization. Like, it's got one of those upgrade systems where the higher level your gear gets, the greater its % chance to fail to upgrade, and you can either grind for ages to get the resources needed to try again, or essentially swipe your credit card to brute force past it. It's also one of those games where the highest tier of gear makes you like exponentially better than those just below it, letting you decimate a lot of the game's content, which at times does include other players. But look, like that stuff aside, it's actually really a solid MMO. Like, I genuinely quite have enjoyed my time playing the game, sinking in a few hundred hours over the years. The point of all of this being, Pearl Abyss has proven that they can make a good fantasy action combat game, and it seems like Crimson Desert is going to be just that, without all of the pay-to-win MMO elements souring the experience. That's at least the impression that I have gotten from everything we've seen and heard thus far. Now, I think some of the early gameplay showcases were a bit shaky, the ones from a few years ago. Yeah, let me show you. The performance is really bad. Even this is like a highlight showcase dev blog video where they're trying to show off the best of the game, and it's running at like 15 frames a second at times. I mean, it was really, really bad. But that said, that was 5 years ago. That's practically a lifetime in game development. And what we have seen recently looks a heck of a lot better, especially the past couple of months. We've gotten a bunch of gameplay trailers, a lot of stuff that came out of hands-on impressions and preview demo time from Gamescom, and it's looking good, like really good. In fact, the more that I've seen, the more impressed I've become, and frankly, I'm at the point where, yeah, like I said, this is one of my more anticipated games of next year. So there's a lot of really good and interesting stuff that came out of some of these trailers. I want to dive in and take a look at it and talk about some of it. All right, so first we got this 11 minutes of gameplay from IGN. It opens up with a bit of dialogue and stuff, a lot of this like RPG stuff. You know, honestly, when it comes to open world RPGs, sure, like I want there to be a narrative and interesting stuff that's going on, but I'm more about experiencing the world building and narrative building through exploration, adventuring, and all that stuff. I've never really, over the years, like, I've never been one for listening and sitting here for all the cutscenes. It's like not really doing it for me. So the gameplay stuff is what I'm really interested in. Now, straight away, when they open up into this gameplay section, one of the first things I actually noticed is like a really nice saturation and color palette. Although I will point out, you got a lot of this foggy stuff that does not look good on a YouTube video. With the bitrate and the YouTube compression and stuff, when it comes to a lot of these effects, these fog effects or even particle effects, it can look especially bad, blurry, and muddy is the word a lot of people use when it comes to how the stuff looks in YouTube. But we realize a lot of that is down to like the YouTube compression, the processing when they render out the videos and stuff like that, the bitrate settings, all of that makes this stuff look worse than it tends to actually look in person when the game's running natively on your screen. But here we get into the gameplay. This section here is what sold me. Like, you got him running up, doing these clotheslines, tossing the person. There's also sorts of, it's like a lot of different move sets that they're doing. It's got a spin attack there. Placing down the pole arm and lunging forward looks really, really cool. Sticking the guy on a spike and slamming him to the ground. Now, as we're going to continue to look at this gameplay, probably the biggest thing that stands out, not so much early on here, but it's like a heavy use of particle effects. It's not so bad here, but it's going to get like progressively worse as we get through it. But other than that, like other than having a lot of particle effects for many of these special attacks and whatnot, the action gameplay combat here, I think looks genuinely really good. And you know what it reminds me a bit of? Obviously, you can draw parallels to Black Desert Online,
czy to nie
right?
będzie
Because
właśnie
that's
tak jak
this
w
development
BDO,
studio's prior major
że
title.
te
But
ataki
also,
to
something
tak
about the
naprawdę
combat reminds me of like the Shadow
dużo z nich z
Shadow of
automatu jest
Mordor
robionych,
games, how
nie?
you're juggling characters and
Trzymając
bouncing
na
between and
jeden
doing these
klawisz
different
albo
movesets
w
and having
międzyczasie
these
doklikując
grapples.
coś
Also
tam, nie?
harkens back to like the Batman Arkham
Że to
games,
jednak
which is
walka
sort of like
będzie
the genesis for
bardziej
kind of that style of
taka
combat where you're bouncing
aktywna
between
na zasadzie,
characters
że
and
jak
managing
klikasz,
them
to
and
jakiś
blocking
atak się
incoming
wykonuje,
attacks
nie?
and
Także jest
countering.
jakaś
But all of this,
sekwencja pod
it's
jednym
not just action
przyciskiem, a
combat with
później
you like
tylko
swinging a
ewentualnie
sword,
robisz
blocking,
jakieś
dodging,
kombosy
and parrying. They
doklikując.
have a lot
Nie?
of physicality
Nie,
with the
to mi
characters
BDO
grabbing each other,
przeszkadzało,
even
nie?
enemy
Mam
characters
nadzieję, że
grabbing your
tutaj tak
character
nie
and
będzie.
tossing you around. It's really, really cool looking.
Tym
Now here we've
Crimson
got some
Desercie.
elemental effects. His sword turns into, this was my favorite part, dude. His sword turns into a lightsaber, question mark? It's just like an element, it's an ice enchantment
Diabła w
effect or
mieszkaniu?
whatever, right?
Dlaczego?
It's just funny, like it looks like a lightsaber for portions of this video. But really, like once they get into doing these elemental attacks, this is where a lot of the
Nie lubi się
particle
kąpać,
effects,
czy
heavy
co?
particle effect usage. Now I absolutely love this section when they start showcasing the traversal. So the game's got a grapple hook where it appears, from what I've seen from all the gameplay, you can literally grapple anywhere in the environment. And then that grapple is followed up by this gliding system. So first he does this spin, and then he pulls out these
grindowania.
wings.
Ja za
They're
mało
kind of
grałem,
like
żeby
ghostly looking. There's like even a digitized
doświadczyć
element to
grindowania
them.
tak
A lot of
naprawdę.
particle effects to them, but traversal looks absolutely fantastic. It seems like you can just freely go anywhere between the grapple, the double jump, and the ability to glide. They've got these elements, this one in
dużo
particular for
ludzi
a quest,
narzeka na
but
ten element,
able to
nie?
destroy fortresses with these pre-established cannons that are in the environment. And it's just nice, like these things that add additional layers to the gameplay, I think are really nice. And it seems like this game has a lot of that. So this is, when I first saw this, I wasn't actually sure what it was, but I actually believe it's like a distraction technique. They do it a few times in the gameplay showcase. I believe the player's using it to like draw attention and distract enemies. So I think he's like putting up a flare, distracting, there's an enemy right up there in the watchtower, and then is going to sneak around them from that distraction point. You know, sort of similar to like throwing a noisemaker, for example, tossing a rock
giveaway
that kind of
ESO
grabs the
dzisiaj do
attention
wygrania.
of enemy
Ale dzisiaj będziemy
NPCs,
losować
because this
gdzieś
game
tak
does
po
appear to have
trialu,
a stealth
czyli
system in it. There's different
22
levels of
plus, nie?
alertness to enemies. Red when they're on full alert, this like yellow
Także
orange when
zapraszam
they're
do
kind of
farmienia
thinking
jebaków,
something's in the
czyli po
area but not
prostu
sure where, and
oglądania
then
streama,
white when
później
they're just completely
jebaki się
oblivious.
wymienia
This game
na
looks to have that, and we've seen some indication
tikety.
that there is stealth mechanics.
Tikety
Yeah,
się
I mean,
kupuje
everything about the
komendą
combat looks
wykrzyknik
good.
Bilet
Even
Max,
this
Ticket
ranged
Max.
attack, between the animations and the sounds,
No
it
i
looks like
oczywiście
it's going to feel
disclaimer,
good to play,
kurwa,
is what I mean to say.
na
It generally
Twitch.
looks
Tylko i
like it's
wyłącznie
got
na Twitchu. Jeżeli
satisfying
ktoś
feeling
ogląda na
combat, so I'm
innych
really, really
platformach, to
hopeful about
zapraszam na
that. And here we can
Twitcha,
see he does
znaleźć mnie,
the,
RollemTV
again,
na
what I'm
Twitch.
assuming is a distraction technique. It's either that or it's pointing to an objective. I'm not 100% sure. Love this traversal here. Really, really great looking stuff. And this traversal has them
Legend of
transitioning
Mir?
seamlessly into combat.
nie
This
znam.
is the greatest, right? Floats
To
up in
też
the air,
jakieś MMO, co to
bam,
jest?
slams down, craters the enemies, launches them off into oblivion. Like, that's so cool. And this is clearly one of those major points of interest where the player will go in and have to clear out enemies. You can see the enemy alertness on the mini-map when they're aware that you're there, when they're on high alert, and when they're actively aggressive and engaged in combat. I mean, there's a lot of games that present it like this, but it actually really reminds me of how they do it in the Far Cry system with their use of coloring
Bardziej
and
choć wiesz,
vision cones. There's
same
a lot of games,
efekty
a lot of
i
like kind of
graficzna
open
taka
worldy
warstwa
games
to
that do stuff
zajebista,
like
ja nie
this.
powiem.
So it looks like
w tym
we got a big
kombacie,
open
ale
world,
bardziej mi
lots of
chodzi
different
o
points
to,
of
jak,
interest. Seems
jak
like
tym
we're gonna have multiple
sterujesz, nie?
entries into a lot of
Ja
those.
jestem
We got
bardziej
him
taki
sneaking in a
przyzwyczajony do
castle
tego,
to
że jak
this
coś
little
klikam,
side
to
hole
jest
in the
jakaś
wall,
animacja,
and
coś
then
się
from there
dzieje,
going in
ona
and
się
doing a bit
kończy.
of exploration
A tam,
inside.
kurwa,
And something
wiesz,
about the
klikasz,
visuals here
trzymasz
is like
przyciski i
it
się
doesn't
wszystko
look
robi
the
samo. Potem
best.
tylko ewentualnie klikasz inny przycisk
But
i
it
znowu się
doesn't
jakieś
look bad
kurwa
either.
kombosy
I will
robią.
say kind of like the coloring and the
Nie
lighting
wiem,
in
może
here.
jakby
I don't
tak,
know. Particularly
może bym
things like the
pograł
shadows
więcej,
stand out
to
to
się
me. Like you
będzie
can see
przyzwyczaić, ale
how
ciężko
kind
mi
of
jest coś takiego
pixelated
wejść,
and
nie?
blocky the shadows
Intuicyjne
are
to jest
flickering
bardzo
off
dla
that
mnie.
torch there. And the fidelity
Przynajmniej
of
pierwsze
everything,
takie
like the
wrażenie.
fidelity quality of the characters and the assets in the environment. It doesn't look bad. It kind of reminds me of like Dragon's Dogma in terms of the visual appearance. I mean, what it most reminds me of course, is Black Desert Online, and it's worth noting this game is being built in the exact same engine that BDO is built in as well. I really like this here. The game seems to have a lantern mechanic for scouting the environment. So, you know, in a lot of games, they'll have like a pulse mechanic where you can look all around you and it's going to highlight interactables, objects you can pick up, doors you can open, chests you can open. In this game, it looks like they're literally using this lantern that you physically hold up, and within the cone of the lantern, you have to scan around. It's nice. It's a nice little touch and a nice divergence from, once more, what is the typical just scan all around you and mark everything for a few seconds. It also looks like it will highlight your quest objective, giving you a path, so you can see the path going up the stairs there for where his objective to defeat Fortain, the Cursed Knight. Yeah, no, I don't want to imply that I think the graphics look bad, but they don't look like super cutting edge. And if that's the sacrifice they're making for getting the game to run better, sign me up 110% of the time. That's the other thing worth noting. Like, this game looks to be running pretty smoothly compared to the showcases that they were showing the whopping 5 years ago. So here's the boss fight, and there's a lot of things I really like about this. It's a big tanky boss, and he's got this kind of supporting spirit for a lot of his attacks. So you're gonna watch the boss slam and strike out, and then following up him is this kind of larger spirit version of him. This part's really cool. We've got this bullet time effect, like Max Payne style. You can see the markings of the arrows being shot. Like, you're gonna see where they land, and you can really, really great. I love that. I love the little bullet time, slow down time effect. One of the pros of having a single player game versus an online MMO style game, right? But yeah, all of these special spectral attacks that the boss is using, I think it's just really nice. And in general, the boss fights that I've seen here in this game have been really genuinely interesting looking. Like, they look the right amount of difficult. They don't look too stupid hard, but they also don't look face roll easy. The player who's controlling this clearly has played the game a bit. Like, you can see by the way they're attacking and acting and interacting with stuff that they're at least somewhat familiar with the game. Even they, like, it's still a struggle. Like, yeah, just the fights look good, and this is a great example of it. Now, going back to like the YouTube video compression, the quality of this is kind of junky. A lot of that has to do with bitrate. I don't know what it is too, by the way. Like, IGN, their videos always kind of look like crap, especially for higher fidelity games or games with I don't know what it is about how their bitrate settings, how they do their encoding, how many passes they're doing. I really don't know, but they've never had really high fidelity quality gameplay. Maybe it's to keep the file sizes down. They lower a lot of the settings, but yeah, this
ale strasznego grindu pewnie mi się wydaje, że ten grind to dopiero jest gdzieś w momencie, kiedy wchodzisz w taki late game, nie? Już no późniejsze etap, nie?
Great looking fight though. A lot of really cool animations and different attacks from the boss. You can also see he's got all these supporting knights around him, occasionally shooting fire arrows and stuff. And even just the gimmick, once more, even just the gimmick of the spectral version of the boss. I like it. It's good. It really is. This looks good and interesting and fun. Fight goes on for a few minutes. It's at the end where there's a few things that I think are really, really cool. So first, cinematically, when you fight the boss, its spirit is like disappointed in it or something. So he's like, all right, I'll finish you off. Just get you out of here. But then probably the thing that got me most hyped watching this is that after you defeat the boss, it's kind of funny. All the supporting enemies are like, all right, he killed our captain. We're out of here. After you defeat the boss, you take his items. Okay. But it's not just like, hey, you've got a new cosmetic sword and shield that look a little different. You get, check this out. You get his freaking spirit attack. If they do that, if that is like a universal truth for like the gear that you get from bosses, that you get to take some of their abilities and mechanics on your character, I love that. That is so cool. I want to see it again. That is so cool that you get this boss summon. It looks like it's the end of a combo chain. Does a few strikes, final strike, boom, spectral boss spear comes down. That is sick as hell. Another really interesting thing at the end of this trailer is the game looks to have a, let's call it a POI capture system. Again, reminds me of something like Far Cry. A lot of games do it, but Far Cry is just what comes to mind for me. So they have these huge banners and you use some magic to pick it up, and then you place it down in here, and then you capture the area. And still don't know exactly what that's gonna do. Turn it over to your faction. Maybe it gets all the enemies out like Far Cry. Hard to know, but still pretty pretty cool looking. All right, so that is the first gameplay trailer. There was another gameplay trailer as well. Now, from what I understand, this is the gameplay demo that a lot of people had hands-on at Gamescom. You started out, you had one mission to complete, and you're exploring this one mission area. This is IGN's gameplay of it. Love the look of the open world. From what we've heard and seen, and from hands-on impressions, it is entirely fully 100% open. Oh, I think I mentioned this earlier, but if not, there's something about this game's visuals where it's like they nudged up the saturation to slightly above normal. There's a brightness to the grass. There's like a neon element to the greenness of the grass that doesn't look natural, but it's not so overly saturated that I think it looks bad. I actually quite like how there's maybe they could tune it down a little bit. Like maybe it's slightly oversaturated, but generally I like the pop of color that they added with this over like a more genuine, natural looking coloring color palette. So the beginning of the quest, first they're looking to siege this area, and the first thing that they have to do was shoot down these watchtowers. So again, we see the use of the cannon. It looks like we've got another point capture. It'd be really interesting mechanically what this does. Like, okay, so you lift up the banner, you place it in the area, and then do your troops come in?
ale czemu jakaś karata siedzi na nim?
Give you a buff in the area. I'm assuming something along those lines is what will happen. Raise the banner. So it just says
Tak się nie robi. Jakiś ładny mouncik, trzeba i postaczkę zrobić trochę ładniejszą.
More of the action combat in effect, especially about fighting against these small groups of enemies. And I just love so much about it. That's what I'm talking about with the physicality. Again, you can even see the enemy doing it. This enemy walks up to your character, grabs him by the shoulders, and throws him on the ground. And it looks like he rolled out of what would have been some sort of debuff or something. Now, this is also, this video in particular really highlights like the over-the-top use of particle effects that they went with. It's definitely a little obscene. It's just a lot. It's just very aggressive. Just the sheer quantity and how much of the screen it really clutters up. And it's really, it's especially bad in areas where it's really just obstructing your vision as to what's going on, especially during some of the boss fights.
To by mi przeszkadzało, ale generalnie fajnie to wygląda, jak jakieś tam iskry lecą, nie? Ze swojej broni.
But aside from that, like I actually think the combat looks phenomenal. The action combat in this game, it just looks really impressive. Looks really fun. Reminds me of the Batman games. Reminds me of the Shadow of Mordor. But then then also just like traditional action combat. It just seems like there's a lot of variety, like a lot of different moves and combos and things that you can do. This is really cool. He calls in an artillery strike. So at one point in this mission, players unlocked access. I think maybe when they placed down the banner, they did a prerequisite that gave them access to request a military strike, which all they had to do was shoot an arrow at the target, and then it would rain down. And from what we've seen, you can do this anywhere within this across the entire game. But you can just shoot and call a strike, and look, that freaking strike absolutely destroyed that facility, that structure there. But we see the player even do it against, see, just calls it down against enemies there, raining down arrows. Really, really nice. This is a fight against what appears to be an elite, so a little bit of a tougher enemy, but not a full-on boss. Like, they don't have the full nameplate and health bar at the top of the screen, but clearly a tougher enemy. And I genuinely appreciate how it's not, I feel like a lot of these games, it's either, they can be really face roll, and it's pretty clear that, like, you have to juggle back and forth. You have to pay attention to avoiding damage and countering attacks, blocking, parrying, dodging, like doing all this stuff. It's really nice. I like it. I genuinely am excited to play the game.
Mi się wydaje, że ten kombat taki akcyjny bardziej. To tutaj też pasuje w ten Crimson Blade. I mam nadzieję, że się nie zawiodę tym właśnie. Że to nie będzie jakieś tam autoataki i inne takie pierdoloto, tylko rzeczywiście będzie bardzo taki zręcznościowy kombat.
The good news is I have heard that you'll be able to turn down the effects, particle effects of attacks. I don't know if you can turn them off completely, but you can at least turn them down so they're at least less severe. Some quick time events in here as well. But this fight also looks interesting. You've got a boss with a lot of mechanics, and apparently what I've heard from people who played through the demo is that this boss was super tanky. You could barely do any damage via attacks to them. And the whole idea was you had to wear them down. You can see they've got like that stun meter under the health bar. So you have to wear them down until they became exhausted or stunned or whatever. And then once they were stunned, they went in a down state. Wait till you see what they do in the down state. The yellow bar's full, the boss is exhausted. They these pillars have been knocked down throughout the course of the fight, and then our player lifts up the pillar. This is great, dude. It just freaking bogs him right on the head. And you can see it took off like half of his
Na
health
pewno
just
to
from
jest
that one
tylko
thing.
pewnie
So
na
yeah,
konkretnych
interesting, like, unique
instancjach,
mechanic
na
to this
konkretnych
fight.
walkach,
You know
ale,
what I mean? Like,
ale
that's
i tak
great.
mimo
This
wszystko
fight
fajnie to
has,
wygląda, że
you can't
można
deal
coś
damage to the
takiego
boss, you get him with a pillar.
użyć
The other fight has that
środowiska, nie? Do
spectral
tego,
thing,
żeby
as well as
jeszcze
all those
bossa
supporting archers. Like, really cool. A lot of
dobić.
cool stuff. I'm just like really excited. Like, I think this game is shaping up to be better and more than I expected. Got a couple more interesting things towards the end of this video as well. We got some more world traversal, just kind of showing the free roam capabilities. Again, it looks like you have a double jump or something of the sorts, and then you just have the ability to glide. As long as your stamina meter is being drained, you can keep on gliding. The game also has free climbing, so you can scale up the rocks, the sides of mountains and stuff. Similarly, just restricted by the amount of stamina that you have. You see some resource nodes there. They do have harvesting and crafting, so you can go up there and use a pickaxe to pick at those, and you'll use those resources for
W ogóle
making
fajnie,
gear and stuff, presumably,
fajnie
right?
wygląda
And yeah,
ten
dude, it's just a full-on open world.
armor,
Just go wherever.
brońki,
And I've heard
cała
that
w
the
ogóle
game is
postać.
quite gargantuan too in terms of the play space, the amount of
Fajnie
bunch of different
ten
biomes.
płaszcz tak
You got kind
faluje.
of plains region, you got a mountainy region, you got a desert region, and then the player is just making their way to the top of the tower, lighting a beacon. And it is neat though. They do the whole thing where if you pull your arrow out towards a flame source, it's going to light that arrow on fire, and then you can use it to light things on fire, like this little watchtower thing, which I don't know, maybe that reveals the map. This looks like the thing
Tak
that reveals
dosyć
the map.
naturalnie
Very
wygląda,
Ubisoft
nie jest taki
tower-y,
przesadzony,
right?
nie?
We got a couple of interesting trailers over the past few months that showcase
Tam
different
niektóre
elements
ten,
and kind of
no
features and
mówię, no,
mechanics
podczas
within
walki
the game
najbardziej
that I
widać
wanna
takie
check out too. All right, first from 9
efekciarskie
months
rzeczy,
ago,
ale
this was the
kiedy
release
masz po
announcement
prostu
trailer.
biegasz
Got
sobie
this big open
z
world, see
brońkami
that
tam na
mountain, you can
plecach, to
go
tak
there. It's
wygląda
one of those
dosyć,
games, so we've been told. I
dosyć
mean, this looks
normalnie,
nice,
nie?
you know what I mean? Like, not cutting edge graphics, but it's pretty nice looking. I love that plant attack. These particle effects are ridiculous. If we can turn them down, whatever. It's not, you know, it's not the end of the world. There's the free climb, able to just scale the sides of mountains as long as you have the stamina to do it. They have a lot of kind of other dimensional stuff as well. The cape kind of has that appearance to it. So you see them falling, and we're only seeing a fraction here. And, well, you can kind of see it on the outer edges here. The continent is huge. People have mentioned in the gameplay demo that it looks absolutely massive, and they're like, you can see the different biomes. You got the deserty biome there on the left hand side, and kind of the plainsy grassy region on the right hand side. And there will be, I don't know how and when, but there will be times when you're falling in like Breath of the Wild style or friggin' Battle Royale style even. There's some of the life skilling that they do. Black Desert Online does these systems very well, so hopefully they do it similarly well here. Looks like you got cooking, actually kind of reminds me
Ale
of
te inne
how they
efekty
do the
robisz
up
tragedia.
close cooking,
Ale
like in
coś
Monster
mówił, że
Hunter.
można
And then there's
zmniejszyć
the
te
harvesting
efekty
and gathering
cząsteczkowe.
of those mineral deposits there that we saw earlier.
Może,
I like how
wiesz,
they
na
actually
minimalnych
have it, like,
takich
physically
ustawieniach
crack
będą
apart like that. Looks
znośne
good. I'm pretty confident
do
that they have,
oglądania.
like, I'm at least assuming that they have a stealth system because of how they do enemy awareness, and this just looks like a stealth takedown here. So it seems like they do have a stealth system. Some cool attacks. It's like this chain ability going from one to the other, tossing enemies. Look like you're calling down Meteor Storm or something. Like really a lot of cool effects. And
No
yes,
i
riding
najważniejsze,
dragons.
będzie
We
można
saw this in
ujeżdżać
some earlier
smoka.
trailers,
Kurde.
shooting fire down from dragons. I mean, yeah,
Ciekawe
it
jak
looks
gameplay
good,
będzie
dude.
wyglądał,
A lot
nie?
of this stuff looks really
Z tego poziomu
good. All right, GDC behind the
latania na
scenes.
smoku.
This one had some good stuff in it too. Okay. So this is this trailer. I just wanted to show some of this briefly. They're showcasing some of the visual differences where they're turning on effects to make things look better. So there's like the water looking more naturally runny and foamy. Though I actually don't even, I don't know. It just looks like, okay, so there's a lot of stream or not, but you can tell there's actually a pretty nice looking difference here where you can see the waves and the foam as it breaks upon the rocks and everything. I genuinely think that looks really good. But yeah, just kind of a showcase comparison of graphic stuff, improvements that they've done with the engine. I was actually quite impressed by this. The volumetric fog, now as the character moves
ta
around,
mgła też
you can
fajnie
kind of
wygląda
see
właśnie, że
it
się
following the
wokół
breeze
postaci
created by
tak
the character's movement and how it kind of disperses
rozmywa,
and then
nie?
fills back in as fog would. That
Bardziej
looks
naturalnie.
really good. They also have time lapse
Best to
here,
put
so they're
your
just
nose to the
basically showing that the
grindstone
game has a day and night
Every
cycle.
day.
I believe they're going to have weather effects in there as well, because I've seen different incremental weather systems in the game. But they go through just a whole day-night cycle. They actually go through it a few times here. But yeah, just a showcase
Tak,
of some
skopali
different
smokiem.
things. This looks pretty good too. The cloth simulation, how it just blows in the breeze. I mean, yeah, it looks nice. It looks nice. But some of the other trailers show, again, some more interesting different mechanics and features. There was some really cool stuff in this one. So we got some of the combat with chaining attacks. There's a call down of an artillery strike, I believe. Yeah, there it is. This was probably one of the coolest things. You've got this like tank thing that shoots out fireballs in all directions, and then the player jumps up over it and like a Goomba stomps Mario style on top of it, destroying it in the process. I mean, that's cool. That's just like a cool enemy type. That's a cool way of dealing with them. I think it's really interesting. All right, and one more trailer. This one's kind of jam-packed. It's the release date reveal trailer. Lots of quickly flying by, but some interesting stuff. You can see in this combat section a lot of the more like
Efekt wody na
martial
mgle?
arts inspired abilities
czy
with
to
kicks and
efekt
punches
wody?
and grapples and shoulder charges
Fakt
and
jest taki,
throws.
że
Like,
wygląda
look at
jakby
spinning
tam,
roundhouse
gdzie się
kick, like a
przemieszczasz,
punch to
to
the chest.
mgła
Like, that stuff looks great. Now, these are cinematic cuts,
się
but nevertheless,
rozstępowała,
some more of
nie?
the dragon combat. They have apparently a bunch of
jak
different
to
mounts because that is
zrobili
clearly a
technologicznie,
player
to już tam ich
riding. This
sprawa, nie?
mech
Ale
thing kind of reminds me. Do you
w
guys
tym
remember the game
konkretnym
Biomutant?
fragmencie
It kinda
gameplayu
reminds me
no
of
widać
Biomutant,
to
but
tak
yeah,
bardziej
you're
naturalnie
driving around
wygląda
and
i
whatever
no,
this
dosyć
thing
fajnie.
is. Oh man, look at that. That
Trochę
looks really
ta, może
nice.
trochę
Yeah,
tak za
I
bardzo...
mean, yeah, dude, it's I think
Trochę
it's
jest
just pretty good
sztuczności
looking.
w tym
Like
takiej,
I
nie?
said at the top, initially I was like, all right,
Ale
interested
zawsze
because
coś, no.
I have a positive impression of Black Desert Online, the monetization
Wiesz,
stuff
no to
aside,
mimo
like as
wszystko
a
jest,
game, I had a good game experience and I had
jakby
good
to
memories
powiedzieć,
with Black
mechanika
Desert.
płynów,
Yes,
nie? No nie jesteś w
monetization
stanie
soured that a bit
odzwierciedlić
and
tak
eventually
naprawdę
stopped
każdej
playing, stopped
cząsteczki,
playing every game
jak
eventually,
ona
and I had
tam
some
zawirowuje,
fun with
tak
it. I
jak
have
w
a
świecie
generally
rzeczywistym, nie?
positive
Bo
leaning impression of
jak ta
BDO.
zawiesina
So
tej
when they
pary
first
wodnej
revealed
tam,
Crimson Desert, I was like,
wiesz,
yeah, sign me up, I'm
wpada te w
interested, I
ruchy
wanna learn more, I
turbulentne
wanna
i
see
różne,
more.
no
And
to
those
jest
early gameplay
nierealne
trailers,
w
they were
obecnych,
really rough. The frame rate
przy
was
obecnej
really rough. It
technologii,
was
tak?
looking
Być może
pretty,
kiedyś
yeah,
przy
but that was 5
komputerach
years
kwantowych
ago.
będzie
And
to
now,
możliwe, ale
this
obecnie
year,
nie
in
da rady, więc
2025,
każda
the most
sztuczka,
recent
która
gameplay
to
trailers and
imituje
straight up raw
w
gameplay
dobry
that
w
we've
miarę
seen,
sposób,
released over the
to jest
past
już
couple
jakiś
months,
progres,
it's
nie?
looking actually
To jest
good.
ciekawa
So
rzecz
I'm at
po
the point
prostu.
where I'm pretty cautiously optimistic. We also know, I want to add, the game Crimson Desert was originally supposed to be an MMO. Originally, it was supposed to be, I believe, like a precursor or sister game to Black Desert with some differences. They eventually obviously scaled that back. It's turned into now what is predominantly a single-player game. We do know that they are going to have some forms of multiplayer. I haven't really nailed down. Every time
Optymalizacja,
I've heard them
dokładnie,
talk about
dokładnie, no.
multiplayer, it's been incredibly vague. I haven't seen a lot of specifics.
Tak,
I've heard
masa
rumors
właśnie
that it
jakichś
might be
różnych
Dark
efektów i
Souls style
do tego
and or some, like,
jest to
asynchronous
open world.
multiplayer. I
Z tego
don't
co
know that they're gonna
widzimy,
have
no
straight
jest
up, like,
bardzo
four-player
open, tak?
co-op
Możesz
or
z
anything,
powietrza
but, we'll have to wait
wylądować
and see
gdzieś w
until they
obozie
reveal
wroga i
more
automatycznie od
details.
razu
But yeah,
wiesz,
cautiously
w nich walić,
optimistic
nie?
is
Jakimś
where I would
skillem.
say I
Po
am
prostu
right
lądujesz
now.
na
There's
nich
a
i jest
lot
boom,
about
nie?
this that I'm really, really
I
liking.
możesz
A lot of
rzeczy
good,
robić i to,
interesting things that we've
tu
seen
przynajmniej
in
nie
these
było
recent
nic,
showcases.
żadnego
So we're
doczytywania
not too
innych
far
rzeczy.
away. Game is set to launch
Zastanawiam
on
się
March
właśnie na
19th.
jakim
It was
sprzęcie to
originally supposed to
chodziło
come out this
i
year,
na
got
jakim
pushed back
sprzęcie
into
to ma
2026,
chodzić
a little
generalnie.
while ago, and yeah,
Jaka
now
będzie
it's
optymalizacja.
settled on a March 19th
No.
release date, and I'm looking forward to it, genuinely.
Marzec,
If I get
tak?
the chance to play prior to
Przyszły
release,
rok.
I'll be sure to make some videos talking about it. But for now, my
Na
impressions from
razie.
what I've seen, heard, read, and watched about the game, good. Good. I'm very hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful. We'll see how it all turns out. That's all for today, though. Thanks for watching. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.
Yep. No wiem, co jeszcze te dwa odpaliłem, kurde, ale nie, czy bym to oglądał. No dobra, może od tego typa, nie wiem, kurwa. Jakoś tak jest, że te materiały robię takie w miarę konkretne. Dużo u niego oglądam.
Coming games for next year that I'm looking forward to.
Ej. Spokojnie. No, normalną dajmy na razie.
I should let you know this is a very early
Napisy mnie nie
list.
chcą
For
słuchać.
certain, in
A
the
nie,
coming
słuchaj,
months, we'll be
dobrze.
getting a lot more other games revealed and release dates announced that will be coming in 2026. But as of right now, this is the stuff that I'm excited about playing in the coming year as of the middle of October 2025. So let's jump right
Premiery.
into it. As a recovered Black
Zbliżające
Desert
się.
Online addict, I do have somewhat
No,
high
to,
hopes
co
for
przed chwilą
Pearl Biz's
oglądaliśmy.
next major project that goes by the name Crimson Desert. For all of its faults, BDO had some like really enjoyable combat, a ton of
Czy gość nie
interesting
ma?
systems and
No to nie,
features, and a
nie
world
u
that I
niego chodziło,
really
nie?
enjoyed exploring. And
Zresztą nie
Crimson
patrzyłem.
Desert basically looks to be a single player
To nie jego
expanded
gameplay,
version
tylko gameplay
of some of
udostępniony
what they
przez
did well with
deweloperów, nie?
BDO. Although the combat system is action, it's also a bit more more granular looking with manual grapples, all sorts of martial arts and wrestling inspired moves, in addition to the basic suite of action combat abilities and attacks. I think probably my biggest initial turnoff are all of the way over the top particle effects used here, which, you know, something that they also did a fair bit in BDO. Although I have heard you're gonna have the option to lower, if not outright disable those.
No może być prosty, jak najbardziej. Ale powiem ci, że jeżeli im prostszy, a w jakiś tam jest dobrze zaimplementowany, w zasadzie wiesz, udaje dobrze, tym lżejszy jest dla gierki, tym lżejszy jest dla twojego kompa później, nie? Win-win. Proste pomysły, najlepsze pomysły. Jeżeli dają, wiesz, efekt, no to kurwa, oczywiście, tak powinno być. Mogło tak być, no, jak to zgodą. Tak, nie zeżre właśnie zasobów niewiadomych, dokładnie.
Like on your keyboard from 1 to 9 and 0, and you could just hit a single button and use a skill. But at the same time, they had a lot of multi-input options where you would say hold down shift and then press W, and sometimes multiple inputs at once to perform certain abilities instead of just hitting the keybind version. And doing this multiple input variation would result in benefits like bonus damage or increased crit or some other perks. And this was one of the things that I actually really enjoyed about BDO's combat system. On the mouse and keyboard, I think it felt quite good, and it kind of made it feel more
typowi się podobał system walki z BDO. Mi niekoniecznie, ale to może kwestia jest niedoświadczenia. Ale first impression miałem taki mech trochę, nie?
Lots of cool, interesting looking features, mechanics, and gameplay related things, all in addition to the fact that it's going to be a big open world action combat game. The combat that we've seen actually looks quite fun. I really love all of the stuff showcased in the recent IGN gameplay video. Boss fights in particular seem pretty interesting, like that big tanky guy who summons up these spirits to go on the offensive for him. Lots of traversal stuff. You got a grapple hook, a double jump. Looks like you've got the ability to glide, if not outright fly. You can also ride mounts like dragons. We saw that in some of the early gameplay footage. Tons of different environmental objects to interact with, like the ability to fire and load cannons. The world is really detailed looking with lots of big open spaces, these big structures and buildings that seem to be fully explorable in their interior. And apparently they've got destructible environments, like during the boss fight we see these pillars collapsing as the boss slams into them with certain abilities. I do know that they mentioned as well having some sort of multiplayer in the game.
Najnowsze, wiesz, zbliżające się premiery, nie?
Although it was originally intended to be like a prequel to BDO, that's no longer the case. Rather it's looking like it's going to be more co-op stuff, maybe even some shared world elements for parts of the game. All of the info I found on this topic though has been rather vague, unfortunately. But anyways, yeah, lots of stuff that I'm really looking forward to in this game. Currently, Crimson Desert is scheduled to release on March 19th, coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Today's video is sponsored by Holzkern. This is hands down one of my personal favorite sponsors, because I genuinely really like and actively use their product. Namely, I've got a few different watches that I wear literally every day. You no doubt have seen me code FORCE at checkout. This will get you 15% off any purchases. PVKK, or as it's properly called, Planetin Verteidigungskanonen Kommandant. Hopefully my German lessons are paying off here. This game looks like cool as hell. Sehr cool, yeah? You play as a planetary defense cannon operator tasked with fending off an ongoing invasion from the comfort of your cozy little bunker. So the game mixes mundane tasks, passing the time as you maintain your facility, read or play some games, with these intense moments where you are being
Symulator
invaded
operatora działa przeciw,
incoming threats
no,
from the sky, else the planet's getting destroyed. It is such
przeciwlotniczego,
like a fun
można powiedzieć?
idea for a game, and it seems really well done. Now, according to their description, they say that the core gameplay loop is going to have you interacting with this retro tech cockpit filled with satisfying buttons, levers, dials, and switches, managing energy generators, scanning the skies for enemy vessels, analyzing these threats, calculating fire trajectories, and executing precise firing procedures, all with limited resources. Progression and upgrade systems will include between missions you'll be maintaining and improving your bunker, customizing your space as well with earned
No powiem
resources
ci, że
to
kurde
prepare for
takie
the next
falloutowo,
assault. When you face moral dilemmas, tough choices that challenge your
red
ethics and
alertowo
loyalty,
trochę, bo tu widzę, że
follow
jakiś
orders blindly or
kurde
question
komandor,
the
coś tam,
regime's
beret,
motives.
różne
These
takie
decisions
rzeczy.
shape the story story and will lead to one of multiple different
no,
endings that the game
symulatorowe
has.
jakieś
And there'll also be secrets to discover inside of your bunker. You can engage in these escape room style puzzles to uncover hidden items and clues about what is really going
Ale
on
ten
outside
interfejs
of the walls
komputerka
of
to,
your
kurczę,
secure,
jest
cozy bunker. Yeah, the game seems
bardzo
really cool. Like, I
falloutowy.
cannot wait to check it out. Oder ich
Identyczny
möchte
prawie.
dieses Spiel wirklich spielen. Yeah, I can't wait. Looking forward to it. Sorry
Co?
for the German guys if you don't
Przemówił
speak it.
językiem Mordoru,
Anyways,
nie.
BBKK is scheduled to release on March 19th.
Nie przemawiamy
coming to
nim
PC via
tutaj.
Steam. So the Hitman games, they were fantastic. Like easily one of the most unique and well executed series in the past decade, I would say.
Ah,
Well, the developer
Hitman i
behind them,
ten,
IO Interactive,
James
is now
Bond
making
będzie.
a new James
Agent
Bond game, and
007,
it looks
no.
pretty solid.
Też coś
Basically,
już
it seems
słyszałem
like
o
they
tym.
took some of the elements of their Hitman formula, added more action, cinematic over-the-top combat, and a bunch of the Bond narrative and stuff. In fact, I've loved pretty much everything that I saw in the recent gameplay showcase they revealed, barring some moments with rough-looking performance when all of the explodey stuff was happening. But assuming they iron that out, this is
Chyba
looking
twórcy z
pretty
Hitmana
slick,
robili.
dude.
Będą
Seems
robić.
like the
Znaczy
game
robią.
will be a blending of these more down-tempo narrative building sections where you're casing a scene, trying to figure out your way in, which there will be a load of different options. They've talked about this being the case in
Gra dla
the case
nikogo?
of Hitman, and then mixed with combat
Kurde,
in
no
between.
GTA 6
In
to
the
jest
gameplay
gra dla,
reveal from
wiesz,
a couple
fanów
of months
poprzednich
back, we
części
saw
tak
it open
naprawdę.
up with
A
a
jest
few
ich
minutes
dużo,
of
no i
driving
powiem,
a
że
car
nie.
through the
Ty,
countryside in the
wczoraj
process,
coś
talking to
oglądałem,
the
że
team about the upcoming mission, and I actually really
jakiś typowy,
enjoyed this
że
bit. Like there was a
między
bunch of good chatter
premierą
and character
GTA
building,
1
some
a
genuinely
GTA
funny
5
moments. And
było
then when they
chyba
get to the place
16
they were
lat,
going,
nie?
Bond was
Czy
meant
coś
to like
takiego?
wait in the car, but
A
then he
między
sees like this suspicious
premierą
bellhop,
GTA
so he
5
decides to
a
check him
zapowiedzianą
out.
premierą
The team
GTA
told him to
6
stay put, and
12
he's
lat.
like,
Ty
yeah, sure
rozumiesz
thing,
to?
I'm staying put. And he
Wydali
said that
5
as he was
części
walking towards the
w ciągu
building.
16
And then
lat,
at that point he goes around the
a
environment,
nie
like,
mogą
checking out
wydać
the outside of
jednej
this facility.
części,
You can see a
a
lot of
minęło
the
już
Hitman
12
DNA
lat.
in here, like tons of
Rozumiesz
different
to?
NPCs you can interact with, all going about
Kurde,
their
ja
business.
rozumiem
You get
rozmach i
different bits of
ten, nie no,
information depending
wiesz,
on who you talk to or
Rockstar
what
raczej
you
dowozi
hear
dobry
about
towar,
the
nie?
area, about the event
Ale
that's
no
taking
kurka
place
wodna,
and
ty,
about
12 lat
potentially
produkcji,
where you need to be.
a
At one
wcześniej
point in this
5 części
process,
wychodziło
we checked in on Bond,
w ciągu,
and they're
wiesz,
like, hey, how's
16,
everything
no
going?
to
He's
tak
like,
trochę nie
everything's nice
fair.
and quiet out here in the car. He was in fact not in the car. So eventually he sneaks his way past some guards, gets into the building,
A
gets
te
some info.
007
They
no
see
to
him
mi się
coming
wydaje,
through a
że
window,
tak,
and he's
może,
like,
może
hey,
kwestia
I'm the
Hitmana
breach
się trochę
checker.
przejadła, a
And
to
they're
będzie
like,
coś,
okay, guys, sure,
coś
thanks, I
podobnego, nie?
believe
Bo
you.
też
He
szpieg,
speaks to the bartender and gets some details about the person he's
znane
looking for, and then
jakby,
the video
znana
transitions
marka,
to later
wiesz,
on,
James
where
Bond,
he
agent
eventually found the
007,
target
nie?
who just nearly escaped. And then they transition into this car chase scene. You're driving through the streets, jumping gaps, crashing into stuff. Eventually it all ends at this airstrip where you have to burst in and try to stop this plane from taking off. At this point we get a good look at combat, which blends this third-person cover shooting with this brawl-style melee fighting, like grabbing NPCs, tossing them around, literally shoving them off of ledges, landing on top of them, and then jumping
mi
up,
się
shooting some
wydaje, że
enemies, throwing a weapon to
bo tu
stun
jest dużo
one
akcji
before
na tych
finishing them
gameplayach, co on
off. You got
pokazuje,
exploding
nie?
barrels everywhere,
Ale
which
no
was
bo
kind
to
of
jest,
funny. At one
to jest
point he
James Bond,
shoots
ma
a
być
car
agent,
with a
więc
single
jeżeli
shotgun
ten
shot
taki
and the whole
szpiegowski
thing
element będzie
explodes.
bardzo
I don't know why,
rozbudowany,
it just looked
fajny,
so ridiculous. I couldn't
coś
stop
jak właśnie
laughing.
może
And
w
the whole thing,
Hitmanie,
there was like a
tylko
lot of
jeszcze
like
lepiej,
these Bond movie
to może
moments,
będzie
like
nawet
the crazy
dobre,
stuff,
ty.
right? So like he's driving
Mało
this
mamy
luggage
takich gierek
transport vehicle
szpiegowskich,
to
ty.
catch up to a moving plane, and
Na
then
pewno
he
w
lifts
niszę
the
jakąś
thing
trafi.
that the luggage comes down
Tylko
on
pod
and then
warunkiem, że nie
climbs up
będzie
to it to
nastawiony
get to the
głównie na
wing, and
akcję,
then he's
nie?
fighting on the wing. Like again, a lot of it really feels like a Bond movie. I think they've done a really good job from what I've seen here anyways. Yeah, despite some moments of shaky performance, everything else I think looks fantastic. Like I can't wait to play this. 007 First Light will be launching on March 27th, coming to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch 2. Slay the Spire is
Nie dla ciebie
easily
te
one of
gierki?
my all-time
Ja też
favorite
jakoś bardzo
indie
nie jestem
games.
za
When it
GTA,
released
wiesz?
back in 2019, I
Grałem
was properly obsessed
trójkę,
with this
nie
for
przeszedłem.
months. It was also one of the few
Vice
games that
City?
I've actually spent a
Nie
significant
przeszedłem.
amount of time playing the phone
San
version
Andreas?
as well. It just worked
Nie przeszedłem,
really
ale
well.
nie dlatego, że mi
Basically,
się źle
this is a
grało.
deck building,
Tylko
tower climbing,
to wszystko jest
roguelike
problem
game.
open
You pick
worlda.
each
Ja
starter
umiem-
deck, you do the roguelike
Dla
thing
mnie
of
gierki
progressing
open
through
worldowe
levels,
to są
choosing
gierki,
from
których
branching
najczęściej
paths,
głównych
and then
wątków nie
using
kończę,
the
nie?
cards in your
Po
deck
prostu w nie
that
sporo
more or
gram,
less
ale
act
ostatecznie
as
nie
attacks,
gram
spells, buffs, and
tak, żeby
debuffs for
skończyć
your
wątki,
character.
nie?
You battle the enemy, you push as far as you
Rzadko
can
mi się
get,
zdarza po prostu.
eventually you run out of life and you
Więc
die,
to jest
and you
bardziej
start
mój
over
problem
again.
niż
Along the
problem
way,
gier.
as
To
you're
dobrze mi się
going
grało
through this
praktycznie w
progress,
każdą
you'll
z
be
tych
collecting
popsuł,
new
nie?
cards as well as various types of passive buffs that make you stronger, and it was just like a really fun, addicting game. It was one of those things where I would get through like a 45-minute, 60-minute 20-minute run, and I'd be like, I want to go again. I want to go again. It was really, really satisfying. So the sequel plans to take this foundation and ideally improve upon it.
Ale
In fact,
powiem
from
ci,
what
że
we've seen,
zabawa
it
jest
very
fajna
much
w tych
looks like the same
odsłonach
game, just
GTA.
more of it and better. So visuals are a
Lubię
lot more
ogólnie
polished with a
właśnie
lot of animation work as
piaskownice, PC
in fact,
i
it looks like the game
jak się
has
człowiek
been
nudzi, to
built
potem
on an
wpisuje
entirely
kody
new
i robi
engine. They have
rozpierduchę
said
na
there's
cały, wiesz,
double the amount of content
na
in the
całe
game
miasto,
from
nie?
the previous one. There's of course
Ja.
going to be new characters, and those come with
Luźna
corresponding
zabawa,
new decks
nie?
and cards,
Bardzo.
new items, enemies, events,
To
and
mnie bardziej
environments we'll
w
be
tych
checking
gierkach
out,
ciągnie.
and a brand new feature of these alternate acts. So once you unlock this, you're then going to be randomly greeted with one of two possible acts every time you go through a run, each offering a brand new environment and a new twist on your playthrough. So for example, they've said that Act 1A is this overgrowth. It is a lush, tangled ruin with much of its fauna resembling mystical woodland creatures and sentient flora that
Jakieś
can eat you
roguelike'owe coś
alive.
tutaj?
This is the act that you have primarily been seeing in any of the teasers and trailers they've done for the sequel here. However, they also have Act 1B, which is the alternate version known as the Underdocks. It is a miry waterway connected to the Spire sewer system from which all manner of mutant sea creatures and vagrants might emerge. They've only begun just coming up with this like content and working on some of the cool creatures in these murky depths. So this system here is going to apply to every act in the game,
Kurde,
with more being
ja rozumiem, nie?
introduced
W
throughout
sensie
its early
rozumiem twój punkt
access,
widzenia. U
ultimately
mnie jest tak
doubling the
znowu,
amount of
że ja
content
lubię w
that the
takie gry
original
grać,
had, and
tylko
I think this is a cool
mówię
improvement.
ci,
On
że
top
ja
of
ich
that,
nie
they are
kończę.
promising some
Nie? I
expanded
to
mod
jest
support for
problem,
the
kurde.
sequel.
Za
Yeah, the
dużo ode
original
mnie
game was loads of fun. If
wymagają
this is
chyba
just that, but
skupienia.
better with double
A za
the
dużo
content,
oferują, nie?
great.
Takie
Sign me
właśnie
up, honestly.
Assassino
Slave Spire 2 is scheduled to
RDR-dowe
enter
rzeczy.
Steam Early Access this coming March. No exact day has been announced as of yet. Cairn is a survival roguelike climbing simulator. You
Ja bym
play
ich
as a
nie wyrzucał,
mountaineer
tylko
attempting to reach
ja
the
mam po
summit
prostu
of
czasem
Mount
ochotę na
Kami,
taką grę,
which
nie?
requires
Pójdę sobie
planning a
w
route and
pizdu, kurwa,
executing an
singlówkę,
incredibly
otwarty
treacherous
świat, coś
climb.
porobię,
This is a pretty
potem
cool
sobie
looking
kody
game. It has
powpisuję
had
albo
a
coś
demo
tam, nie?
out for a while
I się
now,
bawię.
and I've heard a lot of positive
Ale
buzz
to jest tak
about
na
it.
jakiś
I'm gonna
czas,
jump
nie?
in and
Mam
check it out
taką
myself, hopefully
taką
sometime
chcicę
in
na
the
taką
coming
gierkę,
weeks.
nie?
So there's two primary things that this game focuses on. There's the climbing element, and then there's the survival. It features a realistic simulation system that allows for intuitive climbing, they say. While you are scaling, constantly you'll be
Mówię,
searching
gdzieś
for
tam
the
jakieś
best
miejsce
holds
w,
to place
w
your
tym
hands and
giereczkowym
feet
świecie
upon, while having to
moim jest na
maintain
takim
your
gierki, ale
posture,
no
your effort and
nie
balance,
lubię,
otherwise you'll fall.
nie lubię się w
And you
nich
don't wanna
skupiać
fall.
tylko i
You
wyłącznie
play
na
as
ukończeniu
Ava,
jakichś
whose
wątków,
goal
nie?
is being the first human to ever reach the summit of Mount Kami. Along the route, you'll be meeting unexpected companions and hearing from those left on the ground. It's also an open game where you are free to climb anywhere as you make your ascent. It's not just like you've got one pre-designated climbing spot after another. You're climbing this mountain and you can go where you want, approaching each of these rock faces, looking at and planning your route ahead of time, and then carefully
Którą
making your way up.
no
There will
właśnie.
be
A ja kupiłem
unexpected
jeszcze
challenges that
wcześniej, więc
present themselves
to ja
as you
chyba
go through this process.
coś koło
And
200
again, beyond the
płaciłem za tą
climbing
gierę.
part of the game,
I
there's
też mi
this whole
szkoda,
layer
bo
of survival
też
where you'll have to
może
manage
więcej
your
niż 8
resources,
godzin,
your
ale no
batons,
mimo
your
wszystko.
chalk, your fingertape, your food,
Nie-
your
nie-
water, and
nie
your
do-
medicine. These are
nie
all
skupiłem
limited
się na
and can
niej
be found
i
both
wiesz,
during and in between your climbs. Now, I know it seems really simple, but I've heard
Zwiedzanko
very
za
good
bardzo
things
mnie
about it
zajęło
from the
i w
people who
końcu
played.
porzuciłem
Definitely gonna
temat,
check
nie?
it out myself. Looking forward to it. Karen is releasing
Ale
sometime
też
in
mi
the
się
first
dobrze w to
quarter of
grało.
2026. The original Outward was one of the most unique RPGs
A jeszcze
I've
miałem
ever
myśl, żeby
played.
sobie
A
właśnie
game
w
that
ten
kind of
segment
really puts
online
you in the
pograć, nie?
shoes of this normal, non-special, everyday adventurer taking
No,
on
ale
a larger than
wszystko
life challenge. They had a
poszło
lot of
się
different cool
jebać.
systems. Probably the biggest
Zapomniałem o
standout
tym
to
na
me
dłuższą
and a lot
metę.
of people was how they managed your backpack. So rather how it works in most RPGs where you just have this magical inventory you stuff stuff into, like you're taking a
Outward?
giant
O,
two-handed sword
Outward.
and
Kolejny,
putting it in your
kurwa,
pockets or
open
whatever.
world.
In Outward you have got this big
Tylko tam
honking
chyba
bag
rzeczywiście
that you
nawet
have
nie
to
ma jako
physically
takiego wątku
manage
głównego w
and carry
Outwardzie, nie?
around. And as
Tam
would
po prostu
kind of
tworzysz
make
postać i
sense, this
eksplorujesz.
thing made walking
Tak mi się
around a lot
wydaje.
more cumbersome. So anytime that you wanted to do something that required
Ale
any
jest to
sort
gra
of
piaskownica
agility,
też
like
ostra.
jumping big gaps or getting in these intense combat
Takimi
encounters,
elementami
you were
troszkę
best taking your
survivalowymi
bag
nawet,
off because while it was on, your stamina generation, your dodging, all that stuff was way worse. So you would literally slide your bag off your shoulders and physically place it on the ground, and then go do the thing, whatever it was. You'd fight the boss, and you'd take whatever loot that they
Elden
dropped,
właśnie, no.
and then you'd bring it back to your backpack, load it in, pick it up, and then head back off exploring. It was minor and sounds like it'd be a pain, but
chodzi
it
mu
actually
to.
really added a really interesting element to the game that I enjoyed. It just made the experience of exploring feel a lot more grounded. I really appreciated it. So Outward 2 aims to build upon that formula with some notable changes and improvements. They're going to be ramping up the difficulty with more challenging enemies on top of the survival-like elements of managing your hunger, thirst, exhaustion, and
Modber,
dealing with the
dzięki za
weather.
etykiety.
They're promising a bunch more playstyle playstyle options. You've got all these different weapons. They
Fate
each have
Grey
their
ma
own
spoko
movesets, armor
No,
with
powiem
unique
ci, że ten
protections,
Grey
pros
nawet,
and cons,
chyba
as well as a magic
przez to, że
skill
jest
system like the original, where you're
podzielony
taking these
może na
different
akty.
components and combining them to cast your abilities. Also,
prawda
you can't
jeden
just
tylko,
waltz in front of any
jakby to
enemy and
powiedzieć,
start
no prawie
fighting
ukończyłem
foes
już
in
na
this game.
finiszu.
Even the most basic
Ale
kind
jakoś
do
tak
require some forethought and
te
preparation.
aktywności w
Combining
tym
the clever use of
tej
the
gry są tak
environment, placing down
rozłożone,
traps, using
że
potions, poisons,
nie był
spells,
męczący,
and
mimo
all
że
the equipment
wiesz,
that you have at your
sporo
disposal.
tych
The
godzin
combat
się tam
system has
spędziło
also
w tym
seen some
pierwszym akcie.
improvements. It should be more flexible and responsive. Basic attacks, dodging, rolls,
Ale no
block skills.
znowu,
You got
nie,
the
no,
two-handed
nie
weapon
ukończyłem, nie
system where
skupiłem
you
się
can put
na tej
weapons in
gierce
either hand or
na
both,
tyle, żeby ją
depending on
ukończyć.
how
Jakbym
you
się
want
skupił
to
na
combine
wątku głównym, to
things.
bym już
Also, the
pewnie
game
dawno
will be both
skończył.
brutal and
Ale ja
unforgiving
to
at
wiesz, no
times.
lubię sobie
Death
połazić,
doesn't just
nie?
mean like you respawn back exactly how you are. Sometimes
Za
you're gonna
bardzo.
wake up back in town badly injured and will need to do things to recover. Other times you might be robbed of items from your bag by some bandits that came by as you were incapacitated. They even have a hardcore mode where every death has a 20% chance of deleting your save file entirely. It's just gone. There will be three
Ale na pewno
distinct starting
tytuł jest wart
locations, character
sprawdzenia.
backgrounds to
Wart,
choose
bo
from
jest,
with things
nie
like
jest
your
taki
family,
drogi.
religion,
Nie
occupation,
wiem,
and
teraz to chyba
personality
180
traits.
zł,
These
ale
all come
myślę,
with
że jak
different
jakaś
perks and
promocja, to za
debuffs.
120
The
pewnie
backpack
można
will play
wyrwać.
just as important of a role as in
No
the
i
first
polska
game with
gierka,
some
no
new
kurde, polskie
additions.
studio.
And the game is going to be supporting both online co-op and split screen, which is a nice
Poza tym
addition
jakość
as
jest
well. The
naprawdę
original was really
jest
interesting,
dobra,
so I'm
nie?
very
Jak
keen
na
on the
indie
sequel.
gierkę.
Hour 2 is scheduled to
Naprawdę
release
jest
in the third quarter of
dobra jakość
2026
rozgrywka,
to
jak kogoś
PC.
ciągnie,
What
to
if
jest
someone
też
made The Witcher, but you played as a
New Game Plus,
blood-sucking
nie?
vampire
Teraz
with supernatural
jest
abilities?
spoko.
Well, that is the pitch for Blood of
Mówisz
Dawnwalker,
szczególnie
an
drugi
upcoming
akt też.
open
No
world
właśnie,
dark
trzeba
fantasy
tego drugiego
RPG
dorwać.
from Rebel Wolves,
Ten
a new
trzeci, co
studio
tak nie
made up
domagał,
of a
to oni
bunch
chyba
of
coś tam też
ex-CD
pododawali, mi
Projekt
się
Red
wydaje.
developers. And yeah, dude, like a Witcher
Może
style
teraz
game
trochę
where
inne
you're a
są,
vampire, that sounds cool. Really
inne
all
mogą
I need
być
to
te
hear, which I guess is good
odczucia.
considering official
O,
details are
teraz
fairly
ten.
light on this game at the moment.
Ludzie,
We did
ludzie
get a
co
couple
odeszli z
trailers
ten,
as
z
well as some
CD-pu.
gameplay and a basic
Gierkę o
overview. So the
wampirach
gist
robią.
is, it is 14th century Europe. You are in the region of Vale Sangora. This is where it all takes place. We're going to be exploring these landscapes. We got swamps and towering mountains to abandoned ruins and shadowy caves. The region's major city of Svar Trau changes drastically between the day and the night. During the day, you've got bustling medieval life that's masking the influence of the vampire clans, while at nighttime, the blood-hungry stalkers come out to play, and it's quite a playground for them. And this day-night duality actually has a direct impact on you, the player. During the day, you are a human who wields a sword and uses magical runes, but then once the night comes, you transform into like a fully fledged vampire with supernatural instincts and an entirely new power set, with nocturnal abilities including lethal vampiric claws and the ability to shadow
Dokładnie, to
step, letting you
zwiedzanie to jest
teleport across the
najgorsze.
rooftops as
Znaczy,
you chase down your
najlepsze
prey.
jeśli
The game
chodzi dla
uses
mnie
a
o gameplay,
directional
bo
combat
lubię,
system. It
szczególnie
actually
jak są
reminds me
jakieś
of the
znajdźki,
chivalry
nie, do
designed
tego.
to bring tactical
O
challenge
Jezu,
to
jak mnie
every
to właśnie w
encounter.
tej
You'll have to
Grailu
study
tak jest
enemy
fajne, że
movesets,
gdzie nie
block
pójdziesz, to
precisely
coś tam
from the
zawsze
angles they're
znajdziesz, nie?
attacking, and then counterattack. Also during the nighttime, you need to satiate your bloodlust. Besides
Ale to
draining the
właśnie
blood of humans,
od
you
tego
can manage
głównego
your
wątku
thirst via
bardzo odwodzi.
vampires, animals, and special blood vials. And this isn't just a thirst meter that you have to keep track of, as not taking care of your cravings in time not only weaken your abilities and defenses, it can actually cause you to lose control of your
Kurde, z
character,
jednej
which may
strony
result in something
niektórzy się
like the death
hypują
of
tą grą,
important
niektórzy
story
właśnie mówią,
characters.
że
So yeah,
trochę
something to pay
gówno może
attention
wyjść.
to. They released a 20-minute
Nie
gameplay
wiem.
walkthrough showing off
Trzeba
some of these
czekać
features
chyba na
along with
więcej
all sorts
informacji.
of the expected open world RPG narrative stuff, like you'll talk to NPCs, you got dialogue trees and stories to follow, various cinematic moments, etc. It all looks pretty cool. The Blood of Dawnwalker is scheduled to release sometime in 2026.
The
It will be
Blood
coming
of
to PC,
Dawnwalker,
PlayStation, and Xbox. Valor Mortis is another interesting looking game coming next year.
Valor
It's a
Mortis?
first-person Souls-like. Yeah, I know everyone's getting tired about
A,
hearing
czekaj,
about
u Kishoka
Souls-like
trochę
games, but
widziałem
to be
gameplaya
fair,
z
this
tego.
one does have a relatively unique twist on the formula, because I can't think of many
Kurde,
or
Souls-like
any
z pierwszej
first-person
osoby, nie?
games that really attempted this type of Souls-like melee combat. Valor Mortis has you playing as this recently resurrected casualty of the Napoleonic Wars. After coming back to life, you find yourself surrounded by other hostile
Właśnie w jakiej
walking
cenie wyjdzie, nie?
corpses. You've got
No,
melee
no.
attacks, light and heavy. There's the ability to dash, parry,
Mam nadzieję, że
range
nie
with a
będzie
pistol,
300 zeta,
and
nie?
a touch of
Kosztować.
magic in the form of fireballs from what we've seen thus far, and apparently there will be many more beyond this. Hands-on impressions coming out of this year's Gamescom Gamescom were fairly positive. Skillup mentioned in his video that aside from some awareness issues kind of inherent to this first-person up-close perspective, that he enjoyed his time with the demo that he got to play. The setting's really cool, combat seems simple but well done, certainly something I want to see and hear more about. The Steam page gives a brief overview where they say you play as William, a soldier of the Granda army, brought back from a battlefield grave, but the Europe you awaken to is not the one you sacrifice for. A mysterious plague now sweeps the continent and you have been reborn with its corrupting power pulsing through your veins. You'll have to master a combat system of parries, dashes, and visceral finishers across a variety of weapons. You enhance attacks and unlock new supernatural abilities as you progress, and lots of secrets to discover. You've got some fun mobility options.
Demo, chyba demo
being
jest.
undead,
No,
which
no.
lets you
Mówię,
traverse
Kiszak
levels
coś
with
ogrywał.
ease. And I have heard
Z
there's a
tego.
bunch of Metroidvania elements
Ciekawie
in here as
wyglądało.
well.
Znaczy,
You'll come
przynajmniej
across
walkę z
blocked
bossem
areas
jakąś
that you
widziałem,
will
nie?
later gain access to as you
Ciekawie
find new
dosyć
tools
wyglądało.
and spells to bypass it. Valor Mortis is scheduled to release sometime in 2026. It'll be for PC, PlayStation, and
O, z tym
Xbox.
właśnie,
All right,
to
the
na
next
końcu.
game doesn't yet officially have a release date, but it has been on the books for 2026 as far as I've
Best to
heard,
put your
and it's
nose
one
to
of
the
the upcoming
grindstone
games that I am most excited about. It's Light No Fire. And look, Hello Games via Sean Murray really screwed up the messaging, setting their expectations prior to the release of No Man's Sky. There is no denying that, but I would say at the same
to
time,
też
there's
coś
also no
widziałem.
denying the crazy levels of
No
post-launch
Man's Sky
support and
tylko w
updates this
fantasy
game has
uniwersum
received over
jakimś.
like, what, the
Coś w
past
tym stylu
9
to ma
years?
być
In
chyba.
fact, I can't think of a single example where I have seen a game get this many updates so consistently over so many years without charging a single additional penny for it. Now, some people might argue they were required to do this to get anywhere close to what they initially pitched the game to be, but they didn't have to.
Ziemia w
In
skali
fact,
1
if
do
you look at
1 ma być, o kurde.
99.99% repeated developers in the entire industry, pretty much every single other studio would have either charged for some of these updates or they just wouldn't have updated the game for 9 straight years for free. It's unprecedented. Like, it doesn't happen. So I just want to say, like, for however many issues we have about pre-launch No Man's Sky and the launch version of No Man's Sky, you got to give credit where it's due. And 9 years of free updates, people might say they needed to do it to live up to their promise. Nobody needs to do anything. They could have just abandoned it. And most developers, like I said, 99.99% of the industry would have either abandoned it or maybe done a couple of updates that they simultaneously charged for. So yes, we can say they had to do it, but they didn't have to do anything, yet they did. And I think that is worthy of recognition considering the comparative examples of the entire flipping industry. So yes, point being, No Man's Sky's post-launch support, it leaves me with a lot of hope for their next project, Light No Fire, which by all accounts is looking to be No Man's Sky Fantasy Edition and taking place on one massive planet rather than an entire space-based solar system. But they say it's like a solar system-sized planet. Here we go again to it anyways.
Solar
Yeah, the
system
pitch is
size
pretty
planet,
cool,
ja
and if they can
pitole.
actually deliver on what they are saying pre-release,
Nie no, zdecydowanie będzie
like the
jakoś
last time,
proceduralnie
this
się
could be
generowało.
tons of fun. I also prefer fantasy to sci-fi. I like the brief glimpses that we've seen from the initial trailers. And by all accounts, many of the recent major updates for No Man's Sky that they have received has kind of acted as a testing bed for what they're hoping to do with Light No Fire. And there have been some really cool recent updates to No Man's Sky. Now, as a quick reminder, the bullet point details of Light No Fire include, they call this an exploration-focused sandbox survival crafting game in a fantasy setting with action combat that mixes melee, ranged, and magic. You got a planet the size of the real Earth with no boundaries, they say, massively varied, dense, filled with immersive biomes, unique enemies, and valuable resources. It's going to have a multiplayer focus from the start. You will be meeting other people in the open world, they say, exploring, fighting, building, and surviving together. And similar to No Man's Sky, the planet is full of different locations and points of interest to be discovered and named by the player base. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm really looking forward to this, and I hope they can actually deliver on the game's release. Light No Fire is rumored to be launching in sometime in 2026. I do think there is actually a good chance we get some more details in the coming months, most likely during the Game Awards this coming December. All right, Grand Theft Auto 6. So pretty obvious
samych planet?
inclusion here.
Nie, no,
This is easily going
ja
to
nie
be
wiem
one of the
przypadkiem, czy
biggest
to nie są
games of
twórcy
next
w ogóle
year.
No Man's
Kind of a
Sky'a.
foregone conclusion. That said, I never
Nie.
even got around to playing GTA
Nie,
5.
No
so
Man's
my
Sky'a podobno
personal
bardzo
hype
dobrze
levels,
naprawili
like, they
w
aren't
tym segmencie,
super
nie,
high, though I'm
ogólnie.
sure I'd enjoy it if I played
Coś
it. I
mi
don't
się
have, like,
wydaje,
anything
że
against
jeżeli
Grand
się
Theft Auto
biorą
5.
za
I played
po prostu
GTA as a kid and I
podobną
really liked
grę,
it. I guess
jeśli chodzi
if
o
anything,
mechaniki,
this is just
tylko
further proof
inne
that there are too many
uniwersum
damn
czy
video games. People
jakby
talk
szatę
about how there's no good
graficzną,
video
to myślę,
games.
że
My
dowiozą
argument is
coś
that there's
takiego,
actually
nie?
too many good video games. If
Tak,
you like
to
more
są
than a
twórcy,
couple
no.
genres,
Na
there's
No
so
Man's
many
Sky
good
już się,
games.
wiesz, no,
I
na
do this as
początku
a
przejechali,
full-time
tak? W
career,
sensie,
playing
no,
and
przejechali,
talking
ale
about
później
games, and I
naprawili.
don't even have the
Jakby nie
time to
patrzeć
get to
teraz,
all of
gierka
the
jest
good
naprawdę
games. I
bardzo,
haven't
bardzo
even
dobrej
found the time to play
kondycji i
GTA
gracze
5.
są
Like, that's
zadowoleni.
what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm definitely
Tak
gonna
jak
make an
pomówił,
effort
no
this
wszystkie
time
update'y,
around to
które
check out
wydawali,
GTA
no
6
wydawali
when
za
it
darmo,
launches.
nie?
Like I said, I played the older ones as a kid, and I had a lot of good fun. Like I've got good memories with those games.
Raczej
I'm also interested in
studio
finally
raczej wygląda
learning
na
what all the
uczciwe,
fuss
nie?
is about with GTA
Pod tym
Online.
względem ma
That's
się dużo
certainly
nauczyli na
coming
No
in
Man's
GTA
Sky,
6,
więc
right? Every other game is getting out of its
myślę,
way.
że
We
dadzą
know this.
radę.
Grand Theft Auto 6 is currently scheduled to release on May the 26th. All right, so that does it. Now, again, this is just an early list. There will be many, 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 many other games coming in 2026. As the months roll on, we're going to keep hearing about new games. New games will get announced and released. Some of the games we know about that don't have target release windows, we'll get those in 2026. That's going to happen. In fact, as of today, there aren't even many games with dates pinned down beyond March. Like most of the games with confirmed 2026 release dates are between January and March, and that's basically it. So yes, there's going to be a lot more coming. This is just my early list of the things that
Dobra,
as of
ja idę
here,
szybko i
mid-October,
zaraz
I'm really looking forward to playing next year. 2025 was a pretty solid year in gaming. I had a lot of fun with a lot of different games. Fingers crossed that 2026 is going to be good as well. Already the first couple of months are looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. All right, that's it. That'll do it for today. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed as always. Let me know what you're looking forward to in 2026 on this list or otherwise. I'd love to hear more games. Hey, more games to play. More games to add to the list of games I don't have time to play. All right, see you guys next time. Take it easy.
No dobra. pooglądane, nie? Coś tam przynajmniej. Mira, jak się ma? Tak, właśnie, Windows, nie podrzucaj im pomysłów, ej. Nie podrzucaj. Dosyć tego hajsu. Na ESO. Co chwila. A w ogóle widzieliście ostatnio ten... co my tu mamy? No, Kjalnar, no to wiadomo, to już ten, ale fajny. Ogólnie jako monster, armor pack, to jest Kjalnar, mi się wydaje, jeden z... No może nie z lepszych, ale gdzieś tam jest wyżej, powyżej średniej. Mi się najbardziej podoba staff. Staff jest zarąbisty, kurwa. Jak w większości armor packów, kurde, ten...